Welcome back to I Did This Instead of Killing Myself, everyone. Stand-up comedy podcast based in Greenville, South Carolina. My name is David Bakker. It's the week of July 4th, 2022. Happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. God bless America. I know America's falling apart, but we're still here. We still are, we're still kicking. Hope you got a chance to celebrate. Hope you didn't blow your hands off with any fireworks this weekend. And I hope you're not too miserable coming into work, getting back into it this Tuesday morning. We have an abbreviated week of comedy, but we do have some awesome shows this week. And with it being summer, we do have a great guest this week, a recurring guest, one of my favorite people in Greenville comedy, and now a good friend of mine, Tucker Lawson. Tucker was on episode 7 of the podcast. So on that episode, we had talked about Tucker's background in politics. Tucker's done a lot of activism and worked on campaigns at the state level. And now he is in law school. So because it's summer, he's on break. So Tucker's in town on mics in Greenville and Asheville. So I encourage you to check him out. Come say hi to him. But we hopped on and caught up in our interview. And I love Tucker. I mean, he's just a great dude, number one. But he's a really smart guy. So when you get a conversation going, you can talk for hours, and we definitely caught up on a lot of different stuff. We talked about his law school updates. We talked about chewing tobacco. We talked about spirituality and religion, because my mind always goes that way, and a whole bunch of other stuff. This is a long episode. It's about 2 hours and 40 minutes is the interview. So if you're getting back into work and thinking, dude, don't want to be here, just put on this episode. And Tucker's a very soothing presence. Just let the sound of his voice just ease you back into your work week and get your week started. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the interview. Before we get into the interview, though, here's what's going on this week in local comedy, the week of July 4th, 2022. Abbreviated week, but we do have some great shows. All right, tonight, which is a Tuesday, we have Radio Room here in Greenville at 8 o'clock. This is hosted by Jeff Thompson this week. DM Jeff, or just show up and sign up. Also tonight we have the Art Bar in Columbia. That's an 8:30 show hosted by Patrick Fowler. DM Patrick to sign up and get on the list if you want to drive down. Also tonight at the Auditorium in Asheville, we have the open mic hosted by James Herod. Email or message James to get on that list. On Wednesday, we have the Disclaimer open mic at the Asheville Music Hall at 8 p.m. Carrie Goff is the point of contact. And that show starts at 8. And this week there's no Comedy Zone on Thursday because we have a headliner who's fantastic, Tony Rock. This is Chris Rock's brother. But Tony Rock is hysterical, arguably funnier than Chris, at least right now, because Tony continues to tour and grind. I saw him last year. He was very funny. So he'll be here Thursday, July 7th through Sunday, July 10th. Tickets available at greenvillecomedyzone.com if you want to check that out. So again, the Thursday show got bumped because of that. So no Comedy Zone this week. And then Friday at Habiba's, all jokes aside, hosted by Dante Anderson. That is a 9 o'clock show, no cover. Message Dante to sign up. All right, y'all. That is it for local comedy. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I hope you enjoy my interview with Tucker Lawson. Here it is.
Not do
my what?
I guess so the one way you don't because smoking's bad for your lungs, right?
Yeah.
Dip is bad for you, and don't get me wrong. Your jaw can.
I always thought it was a little bit of a cheat code for a tobacco addiction.
What the?
Dipping.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as smoking.
I know a bunch of kids that I go to law school with. They do Zen.
Zen. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Welcome back to the show, people. Your mid-flow conversation. We're talking about dip, a.k.a. what makes you cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Is that chip cut or long cut?
This
what is that?
This is actually what they grab for you at the gas station when they don't know what they're doing, because this is dark fired tobacco. I don't even know.
I worked at a gas station briefly.
Did you?
In college, yeah. I worked at a Spinks. And
what hours did you work?
They usually had me on like the before graveyard shift, so it was like I worked from like 2 p.m. I would work from like 2 or 3 to 11 most times that I went in, and then like the
2
graveyard.
3 a.m. to 11.
No, 2 p.m. to 11 or 2 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay,
it's like second shift, I guess is what you would call it, kind of. But
Okay.
they would, I would be relieved by a guy who like had to stay up all night.
I gotcha.
And he was like a burnout. He was a big stoner, and like
Really?
he probably was on some other things other than just your normal marijuana. But he was constantly late, so I would be there. Like I would have to call him, like kind of like, "Hey, are you?"
This is the guy who's relieving you?
Yeah. So I was just like, Jesus, all the time. But no, the people that would come in, they'd be very specific about like the dip you were getting them, and they would be like, oh, and we had like a secret stash of all the like kind of weird cigarettes, like the Virginia Slims and all this other stuff.
Would they get annoyed if you couldn't identify where it was quickly?
At first, yeah, like I knew I'm just like, these are all circular shapes, and like they're like, oh, it's just like, oh, it's a different shade of blue. They're like, oh, it's this certain Pantone that you're.
They're like, it's that one.
No, yeah,
Dude,
yeah, it's
that
like,
one right
point
next
to
to
it, please.
Yeah.
But I don't think I don't dip, because I was scarred as a child.
What happened?
So me and my little brother were in Boy Scouts, and this is when we were like, I guess we were still in Cub Scouts technically then. And so me and my mom and my stepdad had taken us to Subway before Boy Scouts. And I was like, I think we had like brought home, like my stepdad had like brought a soda with him back, and we got in the car after Boy Scouts, and my dad, he's like dipped and chewed. My stepdad has dipped and chewed like the whole time I've known him.
Okay.
He's going from chewing like Star to chewing like Red Man, which is now I think Red Man's like America's Choice now or something like that.
Red Man comes like in a pouch.
Yeah, they're all pouches.
Or it's like a pouch of loose leaf tobacco almost.
Yeah, it's like long. It's like long cut like tobacco.
It almost tastes like raisins when you put it in your mouth.
It does. I'll say it smells like raisins.
Okay. Continue with this story.
So we get in the car and I'm like, we get home and like he has he brings in the Subway cup and I'm like, oh, this is still Coca-Cola, and I grab it and I like draw on the straw, and like immediately as I drew, I was like, oh, this is not your normal Coke, and it was like,
did you swallow any of it?
This was like years ago, like. I remember just like gagging over the sink like for like 3 minutes just because it like tasted so horrible. Dude. I was just like, how could you ever like this? I'm sure like the mint and like wintergreen and like they have all kinds of flavors now. Like if you do Zen they have like, you can get like cappuccino flavored.
Yeah,
and, like, all kinds
Zen is almost like spitless. Like you don't even really. You technically could like just swallow as you're doing it. You don't even have to use a spitter.
Yeah, people like belly it all the time in law school.
Yeah,
like,
but dude, chewing tobacco, like, you never tried it?
I tried it like in. Mom, don't listen to this, but I did try it like in band. Like a lot of. I mean, I went to like this really country ass high school, so it's like. A lot of the people
I gotcha
tried it, like even like just we had girls that were doing it, and then, like
gross.
No, yeah, it was. I mean, like not they were gross. They were gross women, definitely.
Well, no, that probably comes across as sexist because like whatever, girls can do anything.
Yeah,
but I there were a couple girls in my college that did it, and it was like because all the football players did it.
Yeah,
and they'd be over at the house, and then I'd just see one of them, and then their lip would be like this. I'd be like, Wait, what? You got to dip in? And then they'd be like smiling. I'd be like, dude, that's not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is like.
Sexy, but I'm like, dude, come on, that's not ladylike. That's gross.
It's like one of the.
I hate myself for doing it.
It is like one of those stereotypical things. You're like, oh, I mean, I don't. It's like, oh, a woman can't do that, but it's like, oh, I mean, it's like equally as disgusting, really.
Yeah.
For like, I mean, for men to do it, I mean, like it doesn't matter to me like that if men do it, but like when I see a woman, I'm like. Yo, what is like? This is just so against the like. It must have been like how dudes like in like I don't even know when this would happen. Like in the 1920s, like saw a woman in like pants. Or like, oh, I can't believe this is happening right now.
Yeah,
the horror.
I guess. Although I don't know if I'd ever come around on the dip spit thing. Only. So I was trying to write a joke about dip spit. In fact, and you said like, okay, like it's gross. How could anybody like this? Even for the people that are addicted to dip, I think they are grossed out by the dip spit.
Probably.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
I've made the comparison. It's not like your own farts or boogers where your own aren't as bad. It's like, it's worse.
No, yeah, like dip spit is like the one thing that like your
Yeah.
own brew is like
Your own brew
is totally it's like don't even want to
like
near.
repulsive. You don't even. There's no silver.
Yeah.
I tried to write a joke like that where I talked about it like that. It's bad.
Yeah.
But
it's so the way that my stepdad he tells a story about how he even got into dipping, and so his grandma, so my step great grandmother, she's like one of 14 kids, like raised like her dad was a sharecropper, like a white sharecropper, and his dad, so they raised like cows and pigs like when he was like really little, and his dad had him out like digging fence post, and he like manual like the whole like like jamming it in the ground, and he was out there digging fence posts.
That sounds awful.
Oh no, it is. He had snuck down to his grandma's, and she dipped, and like she did snuff when I knew her. I didn't know her to be a dipper.
The grandma did it?
Yeah, the grandma did snuff, dude. Like she like
so snuff is where you
powdered
snort it.
Yeah, kind of like you pack it in your nose, or like you pack
Dude,
it
I
in,
tried the snort shit in college as well. We
Really?
tried down to the Indiana border where you could get it, and like we'd be like, "Oh, dude, what's this new thing? Another way to get a little high after."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
That was disgusting. Your snot would just have like streaks in it, and like it would run right down the back.
You could
here.
see her like you could see around her nose. Like I guess it's like what like a comedy green room like looked like in the 80s. Like you could just like where they had white, she would just have like brown around like the rim of her nose. But, like she was, I mean, she was. I guess when I knew her, she was like 75 or older. Like so,
yeah.
So he went down there. He snuck in and stole some dip out of her purse, or stole some chew out of her purse, and he was like chewing it on his while he was doing it. And I guess his dad like looked out the window and saw him like spitting it on the ground. And his dad came out and was like talking to him a little bit. And he's like, "So where'd you get that dip?" And he was like, "I got it from Ma's purse." And he's like, "She give it to you?" And he's like, "Oh no, I took it." And he was like, "I'm gonna stand right here, and if you spit one time, I'm gonna slap the hell out of you, or like I'm gonna punch the hell out of you."
So he got it.
Oh yeah, I mean his
my god.
Yeah, and he I think he was like probably like 12 or 13, maybe 14.
Yeah.
That like his dad's super old. His dad was super old school. Like but
that reminds me of that King of the Hill episode where Bobby gets addicted to cigarettes.
Yeah, there's
and
like
Hank's punishment is making him smoke the whole carton right in front of him.
Yeah,
and then Bobby gets addicted,
and then the whole house gets addicted, right? Like Peggy and Hank like get re-addicted. Yeah. I just had no need, like no want to do it. Like after having that one draw, yeah, I did it one time because everyone was just like, "Yeah, we're doing," like it was pure peer pressure, right? Like it was like, "Oh yeah, we're doing this," and I was just like, "Oh, let me get this like tiny minuscule pinch and like put it in." It was at band camp too, like this like the nerdiest kids like dipping. But yeah, that's
that was you sowing your wild oats with the dipping.
That was the one time I sowed my wild
oats. What about
oats.
vaping? You ever done that?
Oh yeah, I mean I do
like nicotine vapes.
Yeah. I mean I vaped on and off. Like I did it a few times. I mean I would like buy like those little like fake cigarettes, like the little like not even like a Juul that's flat, but
like candy cigarettes.
No. Like they were just blue. They're called Blue.
Oh, Blue.
Yeah, they're like cylindrical.
I remember,
and they look like cigarettes,
Blue.
right?
Do they still have those?
I don't know, but I did that. I mean, I would buy those like on and off in college, and then I've done Juul a couple. I mean, I've bought Juuls like over and over again, like But
dude, those are freaking good, man.
Yeah, but back like
it's a real struggle of mine.
Yeah, here it's not as big of an issue, but back in Mississippi, they would have. You would go into any gas station, and there would just be like all these flavored cartridges, and like they outlawed the Juul pods like that, right? Like, they outlawed
the flavored Juul pods.
Yeah, but like you go into the ones, I don't know if it's like they're just sneaking them across, like so if they like get airdropped in some like Louisiana swamp from like Colombia or something. Like they just straight up like any kind of flavor you want. Like there's Red Bull flavors and like all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I mean they taste amazing.
Yeah.
But this one particular brand, like my mouth always starts to burn.
Yeah.
After I take like, I'm like, damn, like there's chemicals in this that I'm just inhaling willingly.
Yeah.
And I don't read the packaging or anything, and I'm just like,
Right.
yeah, sure, they wouldn't. This nice man at the gas station wouldn't give me anything that isn't safe, right?
Yeah. Well, there's no long-term data on it. I've thought about this because like it's so good to me that like I really want there to be some conclusive data that it's safe.
Yeah, I mean,
so I could just feel guilt-free about doing it. Although,
it's not conclusive, of course, but like I feel like now, or like the data that's out, it's just like, yeah, dude, like this heightens your chances for like seizures and all kinds of stuff. Like, no, there's like tons of like this is all like anecdotal, right? Like this is all like just stories that you hear or like you see on. It's like, yeah, this like totally normal, healthy like teen boy had a seizure, and it's
yeah,
like,
but those seem like the scare tactic stories.
True. Yeah, you have but I mean, who knows? Like, I don't know, like what they.
It's got to be bad for you. Anything that feels good is bad.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, definitely. Like anything that feels like, if you like can take a couple draws off of something and like feel like, oh, this like,
Yeah.
I feel like normal kind of.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is not good for you at
Yeah.
all.
Well, I've heard Joe Rogan talk about it. Joe Rogan, like, so he's a scientist. Basically, I think I agree with this. Like he'll smoke a cigarette before he goes on stage sometimes.
Yeah.
And I don't like smoking cigarettes at all. I actually hate cigarettes. But like just hitting a Juul, like right before, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Clears your mind, gives you a little boost of energy.
I guess it feels cleaner, right? Like it feels like it's.
Oh, definitely feels cleaner
like
than
it's
a
not,
cigarette.
Oh,
but
yeah.
But just the nicotine buzz alone is kind of like, all right.
No, yeah.
But yeah, I was addicted in 2019
to vapes.
Oh yeah, dude, really bad. For like 1 month, I was addicted to Juuls.
Oh really?
And I was like waking up next to like the outlet with the charger and just being like, hey.
Damn.
Yeah, and like
that's some fiend shit, dude. That's some, like fiend.
Oh,
like,
dude, I was fiending, bro. Yeah. So then some comics started to have them more. You know, like those all-in-one disposable ones.
Yeah.
And then I went on vacation to Key West with some friends. And, you know, I don't drink, so we were out to bars and shit. I was like, you know what? F it. I'm going to get one just to, like, have something. But I won't buy another one when I get home. And then when I get home, you know, comics kind of have one.
Yeah.
So now that's, like, this latent addiction that's kind of cropped back up into my life. And I'm like, fuck.
That's kind of how
I prefer vaping to dipping.
Yeah.
Dip's truly gross, man. Not a big.
I'll say that that's how I kind of do. Like, I'll, like, buy before I go out for a night, and then I'll just, like,
like a vape?
Yeah, I'll buy a vape and like you're just vaping around, like going around to all the bars, and then I'll just like use that one until it's out, and then eventually I'm going out again like for a big night. I'm like, well, I gotta have a vape now.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, the kids that I take around in my Uber back in Mississippi, they'll.
You're still Ubering?
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, that's how I make it. Like Uber there is like crazy. Like I'll make easily like. In 4 or 5 hours, like $300.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, it's crazy. But the kids in my car, I'll pick up these like undergrad kids, and I'll be Ubering them around, and they'll be like, "Fuck, I forgot my Juul, man!" Like, I'm like, "Oh my god, dude, it's not that big of a deal." Or like, we'll be like, "Hey, can you stop?" He's like, "Hey, can we stop somewhere and get this get a vape?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll stop at this one." Like, man, they don't have like the good flavors here. They don't have like the good vapes here, and I'm like. It's an electrical device that and I've also seen kids like in the back of my Ubers like popping Juul pods, like disassembling the pod and putting like vape juice from like, you know, like the big like mega vapes, like putting vape juice into a pod, into a Juul pod, and like putting it back together. And like,
what's the advantage of that?
You get the flavors of the Juul pod, and it's like, I mean, there's really no advantage.
Flavors of the big Juul.
Yeah, because like Juul pods, you can't have like, you can only have like Virginia tobacco or menthol, right, or something like that.
Yeah, but for some reason they wanted the little thumb drive style Juul pods.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they didn't want to buy one of the disposable ones.
Seems so ghetto.
No, dude, it's so like, and I'm like, damn, y'all are really back here doing like scientist stuff. Just like I'm like, wow, okay. It's like, it's cool, man. I'm a biochem major, and I'm like, how does that make me feel any safer, Chad? Like I was like,
yeah. I will say it does feel like kind of defeating when you own one and have one on you a lot, because it's like, fuck, I'm always going to it. It's kind of nice to have like breaks.
Yeah,
but it's like an addicting thing. But,
definitely. Would you ever buy one of like the big vapes?
Yeah.
Like,
wait, the big ones?
Well, I'm saying like the ones that are like you put some money into. It's like an investment.
No, I don't think I can go down that road. Just because psychologically, then I'm like committing to the addiction. Like,
yeah,
I'm like that. I'm that guy now. Like if I buy like a piece of equipment, I don't know that I could do that. I like the disposable ones because I can at least delude myself into thinking, I won't replace that.
You can just like if you like want to pretend to quit, it's only like a $15 like throwing the charger away or something like that. Like,
there's not even a charger. You can't even recharge these. Although the ones I have sitting over there, dude, this is so pathetic. I have a wireless cell phone charger where you just set your phone on top of it. I've literally like once those died, I literally have set those vapes on top of the wireless cell phone charger to see if it. You back to life again.
Okay.
I have no evidence that would work, but I was like, I kind of want to hit this again. But
you're like the people that run out of weed that like scrape the black part off of the bowl. Like you're just like, I need it, man.
Yeah,
like, that's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, dude. This is why I don't drink, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad when it comes to alcohol. But
I definitely. Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I mean, if sometimes I feel like I have a bad relationship with alcohol because I'll drink like at a show or something.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, and even like you probably heard me like, I'm going to do like a double vodka Red Bull, and then I'll have like a couple Michelob Ultras to like keep me at cruising altitude.
Yeah.
And like make me on stage funny or whatnot. And like that's probably an unhealthy way to think about it, right? Because I'm like, I'm funnier when I'm on stage and I'm like kind of like loose or whatever. But also it's like, do I need that to feel normal? And like sometimes I'll be at a bar and I'm like, drunk Tucker is the better Tucker. Like I'll have like that drunk. That? Well, sometimes like I'll have that thought. I'm like, Tucker, like sober Tucker can manage a crowd, like manage a room full of people really well. Is like life of the party type of thing.
Right.
But drunk Tucker's like on a whole nother level, being able to like understand, like manage like the relationships like that are around you, and like being able to like play off of everyone at one time. Yeah. And probably because I'm looser and I'm like, I get to like take like my like what's it called? Like your lizard brain like takes effect, like takes over and is like, oh, this is how you do this, and like all your cares.
That's what happens when you're drunk.
To me, like
lizard brain.
Well, it's not lizard brain completely, but it takes away all your
brain. I want more lizard brain because, like, honestly, like I had a conversation today with somebody about like he was sober for like 10 months, and what he felt like he lost was like, I don't know, he was too in his own head. Like, I'm always conscious of shit now.
Yeah, that it takes away like your inhibitions, I guess. Is that like I guess like you're uninhibited is the single way to say that, but like the single word way to say that. What?
Which would kind of be nice.
Yeah. I mean, there's different ways in alcohol to feel that way. As like, I guess uninhibitedness is like kind of living in the moment, and a lot of people find that through like different ways.
You could meditate probably to help. You could. I take naps religiously.
Is that your meditation?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
I kind of like try to steer away from naps. I feel. I mean,
really?
for my productivity, like I feel naps are like totally the worst.
Yeah.
I feel like I can't take naps. Like I have a strict like no nap policy, and sometimes I've like failed that policy like very badly. But then like some like I can't go home and like even I can't even go home and like sit on the bed to like change my shoes.
Because it'll tempt you.
Oh yeah, it'll tempt me, and I'll be like, oh, let me just like lay back here for a moment, watch a few TikToks, and then the next thing you know, I'm like, well, it's 7:00 and I didn't even go to work out, and I totally forgot to I still need to read for all my classes and all this like total
because you got homework to worry about.
It's not the weird thing about
so Tucker's in law school for anybody. He's gonna be a lawyer big time or politician, right?
They're kind of hand in hand, but I like politician really isn't like I don't really plan to be a politician.
I don't want you to be a politician because I really like you. So
yeah, I don't want to politician is not the plan right now. It's like always something that's probably like, because I worked in politics previously. Like, go back and watch one of the first episodes.
Episode 7,
Yeah.
Tucker.
Yeah, it's almost been like almost a year.
It's
like
over
a year and 9 days or something.
I literally
like that.
just looked up when it aired. It was June 1.
Really?
So
Awesome.
we're over a year. I'm
Yeah.
like, shit, we're still doing this fucking show? Shit.
Yeah, so I mean, I've worked in politics, so it's always kind of in the back of my head about, should I run? Like, people have asked me if, like, do I plan to run or will I run? I'm like, no, man. Like, right now, especially, it's like, I won't run for another, like, 10 years probably, because it's like, who wants to vote for some, like, 28-year-old? Like, no one's going to vote for a 28-year-old, like, who isn't a bartender in New York.
Most people would probably vote for you over, like, either major Republican or Democrat candidate right now.
I mean, maybe, but I feel, I don't know, man. Like, it's yeah, but that's not in the plan. But like, I'd just like to be a normal lawyer for a little bit, and like, because politics like just consumes you, I think, which is totally fine for a lot of people. But yeah, but I'm in law school, and the homework it's not like busy work. Like, right, I'm not going home and doing problem sets. I'm going home and like just reading, just reading, and then the next, and like you're kind of forced to read because the next day you don't know exactly who your professor is going to call on.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so it's called.
So you could just roll the dice, not read, and hope he doesn't call on you.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's plenty of. I mean, I've done that before. Like, I've done that before, and there's just all kinds of crazy expensive things that you can buy, and there's free resources as well that like you can look up the case brief and like know enough to like make it through what we call a cold call, but it's like the Socratic method, and your professor will like call on you and say like, what are the facts of the case? Like, who's this? Like, what does this mean? Like, what was the holding of the case? Like,
is it typically one case you'd have to know about for the next case?
No, I mean, sometimes like it's like several cases. Shit. I mean, depending on the length in your book, it could be several cases. There was one of my professors would have a 20-page rule, so just stay 20 pages ahead of where we ended in the class, which is nice because he moved kind of like rather slowly through the material. But some professors are like, these are the pages you need to know, and then some professors are like, these are the cases you need to know. And like, I think like the most cases I've had to do in a 9 are probably like 6 cases, but they were all in con law, so they've all been like very well covered, and so there's a lot of like literature out there about them that you can just like know everything about the case without actually having. You have
the gist. You don't need it.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you understand the holding of the case and like why they held that way, essentially, you can you can find your way through any. I mean, what do you think
is like the strongest asset that makes a good lawyer? Because I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, you got to consume all of this, not all this reading. You got to be able to remember it. You got to be able to read quickly, I'd imagine.
So the thing is,
just fluid intelligence, like problem solving. It seems like a hard as shit job. Like,
so the thing is, even I think a lot of lawyers and law schools might not. Lawyers will tell you this, but I don't think law schools want to tell you this. Is that law school doesn't exactly teach you how to be a lawyer. Okay. That's what I'm doing now. I'm in an internship right now. So you kind of learn from there how to how to be a lawyer, and like when you first get on the job, how to be a lawyer. It's
like the practical day to day.
Yeah, exactly.
Being a lawyer is different than what you're doing in class.
And through my internship, I've learned like a lot of the times like cases move super slow. It's not like on television. It's not like an SVU case, like where they're in court, they're going back and forth like that. Like it's very like kind of slow moving, and like I'm sure there's cases where there is that kind of like quickness that happens, but
because it's slower, you have time to go through all the information and have a really good handle on it without feeling like you're like a scholar reading through so much. Yeah, and
it's also some of the cases that we deal with. Like, I mean, I've seen cases that were started like the offense date was like 2018 or 2019. So these are years old, and they come across your desk, and they may seem like they're only with you for a short amount of time, but this has been being developed for like a long time throughout the process.
Right.
So, and also, I mean, with criminal law specifically, it's like it's not cut and dry. I won't say that, but it's very like these are the elements of what.
Sure.
Well, these are the elements of shoplifting.
So you can like learn these things conceptually too. So like the different names of the people were different, but like you can accumulate this body of knowledge. Like I know how this type of case probably works because I built this body of knowledge in law school where I read my ass off.
Yeah.
And there's stuff you hang on to. Is that fair to say? Like,
yeah, of course. Like going through law school, is not completely useless. Like you learn, like.
Oh no, I don't think it's.
No. I mean, I was saying earlier, I was kind of like alluding to it that they don't teach you how to be a lawyer, but you learn civil procedure and criminal procedure, and like all these other class. Like I'm going to be in a mergers and acquisitions class next semester.
Mergers and acquisitions. That'll be fun.
Oh yeah, that's where the ka-ching is.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
But, in constitutional law and all this other stuff, you learn that and you get to apply that to your stuff. But especially if you move from the state that you're going to law school into another state, like you kind of have to relearn a lot of the you have to learn like the court system again, kind of, and all this other.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to me that there's such a difference in like how law schools teach. Like even between each law school, so like a lot of the top 14 law schools, like the T14, there's no rhyme or reason why it's top 14. That's just how it is. Okay,
these are the chosen 14.
Yeah, this is like Harvard, Yale, NYU, Michigan, Northwestern, USC, UCLA. Like these are huge schools, especially the Ivy Leagues, like Harvard and Yale and Cornell. I don't know if Cornell has one, but all the Ivy Leagues, they teach a very like philosophical version of the law. Okay. So around like, I don't even know how we don't Ole Miss where I go is super practical in how they teach law.
Sure.
But they go about it in a different way. And that's why you see, there's a couple reasons why you see all of the, all of the Supreme Court justices and all the like the lower courts, like they're from these bigger schools because they have this.
The Supreme Court justices are from the bigger schools.
Yeah, they're all. So
it's fair to say that the Supreme Court justices think about law more philosophically than they do practically.
I won't say that they don't think about it practically, but they think about it very philosophically. And I think I'm trying to think about who the new KJB who just got appointed to the Supreme Court. Well, she will after.
The first African American woman on the court. Yeah.
I think it's KJB or KVJ. I'm terribly sorry.
Tucker's racist and sexist.
Please let me clerk for you. But no, she's like one of the first public defenders. She's like the first public defender to be on the court in a long time. Okay. So a lot of these
so she didn't go to an Ivy League school,
she went to Harvard I think it was Harvard. She went to Harvard at the same time that Ted Cruz did. Like they were only like a year apart in law school. Okay. And but
she was a public defender. She wasn't like
she was a public defender. So a lot of I can't speak.
Which is kind of like more of like a. I don't know. You don't get paid for that stuff. It's more
you get paid, but like not that well. Not as much.
Yeah, it's not very lucrative.
Yeah.
Corporate law is like what are the rankings of like most money you can make in law to like least?
I say this as someone who's like only been in law school a year, but like
you can know that.
No, yeah. I mean, I can know kind of.
That's an easy one.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're working at like, and they. The amount that people get paid get out pretty regularly, and they just like last year upped the salary of what they call big law. Okay. Big law is these very corporate jobs, these places where you're going to be they call it government relations, which is a politically correct term for lobbyist.
Gosh, that's where the money is.
So they do you work on all kinds of stuff, business stuff and mergers and acquisitions and all kinds of like big law, like you're representing like white collar criminals or you're, working for the government and all of this stuff. So for those like just entering straight out of law school, they make $212,000 a year. Wow. Okay. Straight out of law school. So you have these people that are 21 plus 24. You have these people that are 24, maybe 25. Yeah. Making $212,000 a year, which is wild, right? Like it's crazy. Yeah. And that's like the bottom. Yeah. And so those are very high demand, like they demand a lot of you. Like you work tons. Like I know one guy who works like just nonstop, and it's like the people who make it through, and they make like they're very good lawyers, but some people, and it doesn't mean that they're not good lawyers if they don't make it out of like the first year or the second year or whatever. But some people make it through 1 year, 2 years, and drop and just like go to a smaller like mid-sized law firm, or just like a smaller firm that's more regional, like a bigger firm that's more regional to like the South or the West or whatever, and they say, I care about having a family life, like work balance, more than I do this $212,000.
Yeah.
And then you have just defense attorney. There's plenty of defense attorneys that make more than that.
Okay.
Morgan and Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Morgan and Morgan.
Morgan and Morgan. Dude, there's a spoof commercial.
Really?
Well, they say Morgan and Morgan a lot in the commercial.
Yeah.
And it's like all the family members.
Yeah.
And I don't want to shit on them if it's like a thing, but like there was one like meme account on Instagram that edited together all the Morgan and Morgans.
Really?
And they say like, it's a family tradition. Morgan and Morgan and Morgan and Morgan and Morgan and Morgan and Morgan. And then I'll send it to you. It's funny.
I have met John Morgan just through, he's like a Democratic funder.
Yeah. Well, I love those law commercials because some of them are kind of cheesy.
Yeah. Have you seen the Law Hawk? Or no, it's is it Law Hawk or it's Texas? I think it's Texas Law Hawk, and it's actually crazy. Like he's throwing like little people through like window panes and like just crazy stuff. I mean, like that like there's actually a lot there. It's really interesting. There's a lot of laws around how you can advertise your like law business, like your legal practice. Like are there weird laws about like that leads to how these commercials are filmed? Because I don't like it's parodied in Better Call Saul and like Breaking Bad. Like he comes across as this kind of cheesy lawyer. I think there's a certain type of language you have to use. I'm not entirely sure like what the statutes are around it that like make it that way. But it just started like up until I forget the year, but like in the last half of the 20th century is when they started to allow them to advertise on TV and like in general. I think you could. Oh, okay. Before that, I think it was just kind of word of mouth, honestly. So do you think they weren't allowed to advertise because law is like this high thing? It's not supposed to be associated with like business or I think it was like an ethical thing up until like the last half of the 20th century. There's if you want to check it out, there's like a really great CBS Sunday morning thing on it that I forget who the guy, it was like Mo Rocca or someone who did the piece, but it was interesting. Dude, I love the CBS Sunday mornings. They have that sun logo. I was about to do the trumpet, but I'm not going to because I probably could. Well, dude, I feel like that's a nerdy thing that you and I would be into, and like my dad would watch that. But it's kind of obscure. I don't know how much the average people watch the Sunday morning. I feel like most people that are up at like 9 a.m. on Sundays probably see it, right? Yeah, I guess. People are like going to church. I don't know how many people go to church these days, but like people go to. People that are going to church are just up having a relaxing Sunday. Like, what was I going to say? But Morgan and Morgan makes a lot of money and like you say it's a family tradition. It's a family tradition. Yeah, Morgan. I think all of his kids are lawyers, and I think that they married lawyers, and I think his wife might be a lawyer. Okay, so the fact that you know about that and I know about that, I mean, I'm from the Midwest. We're definitely quoting that commercial from the Midwest. How big is this law firm? It's huge. It's like nationwide. It's nationwide. Yeah, well, okay. I don't think there might be some in like the lower part of South Carolina, but I don't think there are any in South Carolina. So they're not all related, right? No, they are all related. They are. What do you mean? The Morgan and Morgan are like related. Like, I know they're related, but like, if there's that many firms across the whole country, they can't all be Morgan and Morgans, right? No. Yeah, they're not all. I love the idea that it's like the Israelites. Like, there's just like a bunch of Morgans. No, I think that. So I mean, bigger law firms like that, you're not going to have partners in every office, right? You're just gonna, or maybe. I don't know the structure. How much blood do you have? The craziest thing about law is like there's different ways you can structure a law firm. Like some of them are structured in different ways, and I don't know anything. I just know there are different structures. I don't know any of the specifics about that. But
you're a law expert, Tucker.
So Morgan and Morgan, I mean, I assume that they just have like different. It's like a I don't know. It's like a fast food chain kind of. It's like Ronald McDonald's
like
not in every. Yeah, it's like
they're not all Ronald McDonald's.
Yeah, it's like they're not all like Ronald McDonald can't be in one place like in all the places at one time. But I think they just have kind of like a few lawyers in this area, a few lawyers in that area. Okay, but and they live in Florida. They live outside of Orlando.
I gotcha.
And they're just like billboards all over Florida.
Yeah.
Of the Morgans.
Yeah. So
but they're like hella rich.
Yeah.
They're like
hella rich, dude.
Yeah.
So like a year into law school, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now like let's talk to a year ago. Are you more excited, less excited, or the same excited about being a lawyer now?
I think I'm more excited because once and that might be I feel every lawyer that before I went in, a bunch of the younger lawyers before I went in that I know, I mostly know younger lawyers because I'm only 27. So they're all like, "Don't do it! Like it's terrible. Like your first year is like it's like it's all bad. It's terrible. And like you get out and like it's not as good as you think it's gonna be." And I'm like, okay, but
sound like negative people.
Well, yeah, true. And like it's like also I think you're just trying to like protect your own bag right now. You just don't want more lawyers on the scene.
Yeah.
No, but so I kind of went in. I'm like, damn, this is gonna be flipping terrible. This is gonna be horrible. It wasn't. I mean, I think I say this a lot is that law school, like nothing to me has been like terribly difficult to grasp. And that might be the way my mind works and the way
You're
that
just a genius, bro.
I'm not, dude. I actually got I got IQ tested for
what was it? What was your IQ?
I forget so I forget the exact number because it was unremarkable. It was like barely above average. It's like I'm just an above average white dude. Like that's what my LSAT says, that's what my SAT said, like that's everything. Like that's what my GPA says. But I scored in like the 95th and like 94th percentile of like verbal and reading skills.
Huge.
So like that's huge for law. Like huge for law.
That's huge for just life success too. If you can read, right?
Yeah, of course.
Express yourself.
So, what was I gonna say? Oh, so I think it's more so nothing's been terribly difficult to grasp, but it's all a time management exercise. Like you just have to know how to manage your time and like what class you can let kind of fall by the wayside this week and what class you can build up and like actually dive into this week and how you can go back and get that other class and like drag it back up and like all these. I mean, it takes.
So interesting. So like as opposed to like your undergrad experience, you have like more autonomy in how you manage your own stuff to get through the program.
Yeah, I mean, so really, other than my research and writing class, which you do like a few different assignments for, you turn in a couple different memos or whatever. Mostly all of my law classes, except for 2 that had midterms, your grade pretty much like 70% of your grade comes from the final exam.
Oh my god!
So yeah,
pressure's on.
No, yeah,
dude.
I mean, you really see it the last few weeks. Like I've only been through 2 exam periods in law school, but just doing the last like month, you see people get super isolated and super just super like just to themselves, and everyone's just like on edge kind of. You see people's like eyes like lose all sense of like hope and like it's. I mean, the last 3 weeks are kind of rough. The last month is kind of rough. Like I think so we have a 2-week exam period, and the classes or the exams are usually 4 hours.
Okay.
So
multiple choice.
Hell no, bro. Actually, no. So I wasn't in this class, but one of our property law exams. No, I'm sorry. One of our civil procedure exams. Excuse me. I had this professor for property law, but he didn't do a multiple choice for that. So he didn't want to read like 80 people's exams because you're literally 4 hours of writing.
Right.
Like I've written I think the most I've written on an exam was probably like in that time was like 4,000 words or something like that.
Handwritten?
No. I mean, some people handwrite it, but it's all typed.
Okay.
Which I guess is less remarkable, but it is like it's a lot. You're just like pouring everything you can into this, but none like you might have like 10 or 12 multiple choice on a exam, but mostly it's like it's all just like they give you these prompts and you have to write legal art. You have to say like it's called like the IRAC, it's IRAC or whatever, and there's like different methods that have different acronyms, but you have to say issue, you have to spot the issue, you have to say the rule, you have to do the analysis, and then you have to have a conclusion.
Okay.
And you do that for every single issue in a question, and you have to. Most professors want you to say so and so would say this argument, so and so would say this argument, and then you would go from there. And
like so and so, like this school of thought would say this, or this school.
Not even the school of thought. It would be like say
this person in the case.
Yeah. So it would like say that like you slipped and fell at a grocery store and fell into me and pushed me. And I like fell and I broke my elbow or something like that. Okay. Like you would have to. Someone would argue that like someone would argue probably that you assaulted me, or you battered me, right? But I was turned the other way, so I couldn't see you falling into me. So they couldn't argue that you assaulted me because I couldn't appreciate. I wasn't like in a fearful state. Knowing that you would hit me, so it's all this different stuff. And
Dang, dude.
Yeah, you have to really like get down into like very. No, yeah, I mean it's there are professors that are like, there's 700 possible points on this exam, and last year the people made they would be like, the last year people made around 400 of those points, or like that was the highest grade or whatnot.
Oh my gosh!
And but back to like I think the original question was like, what makes a good lawyer or whatnot, and I think when I wrote about this in going into law school, that about being a stand-up comedian, and I wrote about how being a stand-up comedian lends itself to being a good lawyer, at least in the courtroom, because when you're in a courtroom, you have to keep if it's a jury trial, you have to keep the attention of like 12 or so, like ever how many. Statutorily how many jurors there are, so you have to keep their engagement, and you have to be able to like also read all of these people's faces and understand like how they're feeling about your argument, and like where you can go and like what are the arguments you can make to maybe get this get this juror on your side. And then if it's a trial by the bench, if it's just one lawyer, if it's just a judge up there or a group of judges per se, you have to keep their attention. And they're like the driest people. So you have to really be able to get up there and have some kind of presence and have some kind of, be able to keep them with your arguments for the whole time. And just being up there in front of people and being kind of loose. And being confident. Like, because a lot of these people that I'm with, like they're where I go to school with, they don't really have public speaking. And I mean, I do it 3 nights a week. At least sometimes more. Right. And so I have kind of that little bit of an advantage on them. You ever met another law student that does stand up? So when I started, so they didn't have an open mic until I got there, until like 3 months after I got there in October.
Did you start one?
No, I didn't. I did not start one. So they, I'm sorry, I got there in August, and because of COVID, they had like shut a mic down that they had started previously. They reopened it up, and it was like a monthly mic. And so I kind of made a big deal in our like group chat. I was like, hey, like come out, like it'll be a good time. Like you can watch me, like try to be funny. And a bunch of people came out, and like I killed.
You did?
No, yeah, I mean, I think that I do. Yeah, I do. I did great in Oxford.
Dude, I love the confidence you have, bro. To invite people. That's
yeah, because I mean I'm
such a pussy, dude.
Yeah, I mean I had to invite. I think that I had to invite some people because I'm like, one, I want it to be a good show, and like I don't want it there to be like no one in the room. And then two, I'm like, oh, I'm going to invite I'm going to invite like my immediate circle of friends. So I probably should maybe invite everyone because I'm like, also I just kind of want to be like, I'm interesting. Like I'm like a lot of these people are like, oh, I'm just like from undergrad to here, and like I've not actually done anything, and I'm just like, actually, I'm super cool.
Yeah, I do comedy.
So, I just invited them and had that kind of like took off. But one of the people that came actually ended up going on stage, and he's pretty funny. Yeah, he's been going up since that night in October.
Okay. So he caught the bug, and
he caught the bug, and then there's another like third year student, a 3L, this is what we call them, 3L that does it as well.
Did that person start?
I don't know where they started. I have because they come out less regularly than me. Okay. So I'm not sure where he started, but
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking from outsider's perspective, but I don't know. I think stand-up would be a big stress reliever.
It is, dude.
From just the reading and the, all that.
I felt
hard academic work.
The night that I hadn't done comedy since like August or whatever. Before I got, I think like the second week of August is the last time I did I did stand up before October. And that night that I did it, just felt so good. It felt like just like all the pain, not the pain, but like all of the like pent up like emotion is just like, oh my gosh, I felt like truly relaxed. I probably slept better that night than I had like since I've been there. Yeah. And then it also, it just feels good like having people kind of like, oh yeah, I heard you did really well last night. I couldn't make it, but I'll be up there next time, or all these different things. And but yeah, Oxford comedy is like growing like super super quick.
Hell yeah.
There's like already 2
due to your influence, or is there other comics that kind of just caught fire and the same time?
There was comics there when I got there. They were just kind of like
inactive.
No, not inactive. Well, they were inactive due to COVID, kind of. So they were waiting on the mic to open back up. Okay. And so when that opened back up, they just started coming out again. And then I haven't really I haven't done a mic, but they've done multiple actually booked shows. Okay. And I've been on quite a few of those. And it's just it's a great. There's one comic in particular that's like really like trying to get the scene back. Scene back up, and so that's really great. It's hard because I'm like, I don't really have the time to like help you fully do this. I can help as much as I can, right? But I'll be at every show that I don't have. I literally the night before. I think the night before an exam or the night before an exam I did an open mic, or not an open mic. I did a book show. Yeah, and then the next day I woke up at 9 a.m. and went and sat for 4 hours.
Dude, it's funny. I remember there was a situation here in Greenville where I had a huge work meeting. I think it was like on a Tuesday morning, and I was real nervous for it, and I was like debating on, should I go to this mic or should I like stay home and prepare? And I was like, screw it, I'm going to the mic.
Yeah, why not?
And I felt way better about it. I felt way better afterwards, and the meeting went great.
Were you presenting? Were you like?
Yeah, I was presenting.
Yeah.
So actually, I don't know which night it was, but it was definitely the night before where I had that kind of decision like yours, and it was yeah, I think I was presenting to like in a conference room full of people, leadership types of one of my products, and it's kind of like an involved pitch where the pitch itself is like 30 minutes. Yeah. So like, and you kind of have to like. So I was stressed about that, but stand up was like a necessary, like, I don't know. I got something out of doing that. Yeah. Like it de-stressed me, took my mind off the meeting for a little while, and I was still practicing the muscles of public speaking. So. Yeah.
If I didn't know property law by like 8 p.m. the night before the exam,
you're not going to know property.
Probably not going to know property law by the next morning. Like, it's like, I guess this is what an easement is, or like this, this is like the fertile octogenarian. Like you just like all this, so that's,
You're always better. I don't know. I always feel like I don't regret going. Like you're always better off going to the mic. I feel
that's what you tell yourself.
No, I think so. I mean, to
Yeah.
me, it feels like working out. Like you never regret having gone to the
True.
gym, but except with stand up for me now, it's almost more essential than working out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's therapeutic in its own like separate way, right? Like it's like people find like some people go fishing to relieve their stress. Like some people go to the gym to relieve their stress. People go to stand up to relieve their stress, you know? So it's, yeah.
Yeah. It is that double-edged thing though too, in terms of like not like, I don't know. How are you feeling now on stage? You feel pretty like, do you get a little nervous before?
I feel kind of confident, more confident than I think going to Oxford made me feel a lot more confident.
Oh yeah?
Because I think I am one of the more seasoned comedians out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not bragging. That's just like the fact
He's the funniest man in Oxford.
No, there were plenty
funniest, smartest lawyer in Oxford. He's a goddamn genius.
There are plenty of funny people out there. People that are, arguably funnier than me. And so, I've just happened to be the one who's been doing it the longest.
I hear you. I'm just
So being out there and doing that, I'm like, I'm not an elder in the scene by any means. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like this. I feel like I can go out there and kill.
Yeah.
And I know I have that in me, so I shouldn't be nervous about like.
For sure.
Yeah, I got kind of nervous before I went on to the Laughing Skull because this was kind of.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about your Laughing Skull experience.
Yeah.
That was you did a mic at the Laughing Skull since you've been back.
Yeah, since 2 Tuesdays, like not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before.
Laughing Skull, downtown Atlanta, hot mic.
It was fun. Apparently there weren't as many people there as there normally were. Mm-hmm. That's probably because it was like the Tuesday after Memorial Day.
Yeah.
So people were probably like,
yeah, it is. I got lucky the first couple of times I went where it was sold out. And I thought this is always how it is. But then I did it a couple more times. And there are nights like, where there's nights where they actually don't let comics sit backstage because they want you in the room to kind of fill out the back rows basically. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. There were enough people that they let us sit backstage. Mm-hmm. And but because of Laughing Skull being like such a storied like place, like you go in and you see like, I think there's a Mark Norman poster like where he was there. There's a
Dave Attell
and like Bert Kreischer and John Mulaney, all these people that you have like this huge. Is like when I stood where John Mulaney performed and like where Kevin Hart performed and Bert Kreischer and like all these people and like that was kind of like mind blowing.
Yeah.
When I was sitting backstage, I'm like, damn, this is like they were like probably in that room with the locked door. Yeah. But I am like kind of like where they were really.
Yeah.
So I was kind of tripping out just a little bit, but I was back there and like you're back there with a bunch of other comedians and you're like, oh, they're all in the same boat as me. And there's a guy that only been doing it. Like there's a dude that was his first time or second time going up.
Yeah.
Laughing or like not in general or no, not like first or second time going up at Laughing Skull. In general, that is his first time going up. I'm like, dang.
Yeah,
dude,
you get a lot of that.
Like, wow, you're really like jumping into it. And
yeah.
He lives in Atlanta. Or he lives like outside of Atlanta.
They do a class too. I think.
Really?
Is it? How do you say his name? Is it
Plug
Chapman?
Yeah, Plug Chapman.
Yeah,
he hosted.
He hosted. He
was great.
Yeah. I've only met him maybe once or twice, but he does a stand-up comedy class. So I think some of those people, when it's their first or second time, sometimes they had taken the class, so they will be pretty decent from having some technical things down.
I mean, that guy was like really, he was funny if it was his first time, he was like, it was really funny, right?
Yeah.
His white dude, last name Patel.
Patel?
Yeah, he took his wife's name.
Okay. Because Patel is Indian?
Yeah, it's like an Indian, like traditionally Indian name.
Yeah.
And he's like, I took my wife's name, and I was just like, yo, bro,
he's good at spelling. No?
This is out of your world, man. This is wild.
Yeah.
It was a great time. Like I had like a couple drinks like at the bar beside it, the Vortex, and then went in and just sat and had like another drink.
Yeah.
And I say that I don't have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol, but I just am now talking about I was like measuring time with drinks or whatever. No, but everyone was really great. Then you go out there and it's like a really nice stage.
Yeah.
And you're just
Dude, I remember the first time I went to Laughing Skull, and it was like the surreal part. Like, I really like the backstage because backstage it's like the green room, I suppose. There's couches and there's like a TV, so you see the comedians ahead of you on the TV, and it kind of feels like you're backstage at like the Tonight Show, or what I would think it would feel like. I've never been on the Tonight Show, but and then when you walk out for the first time, like I didn't ever like. My first time there, I didn't walk out to the stage really beforehand to like see or anticipate what it would feel like walking up to the mic. Yeah. But like the people felt like, and you know, if this is your experience, the people felt like they were like so close to you. They're like right on top of you. You're like standing in this sea of people
down at your feet.
Yeah. And their faces are like looking up at you. And it's a good show because there's good comics on ahead of you, and there's resident comics. So they're all like happy, ready to laugh, and you just gotta hit your jokes and just smile and have fun, and you should do well. If you do your jokes at work, they should work fine.
I mean, I was like, I have to do like, I even like, I kind of did stuff that was like newer in my routine.
Did you?
Yeah, I was. I mean, like, there's it was like built around like a bunch of my older stuff, but it's like newer stuff that I'd added on, and people. I mean, I had a really great time, and Atlanta's just. I mean, I really enjoy Atlanta. I know a lot of people like dislike.
You think you might want to go there?
Like live there? I mean,
comedy.
I mean, I would. I mean, that's like, I think I've said this to you before, but like the only places that I would not come back to Greenville for would be Atlanta or DC, and that would just because I mean, Atlanta is just like I mean, I just the city is so, I like the city a lot. And like I know a lot of people are just like, I hate Atlanta traffic. It's so bad. Like, I can't. There's 7 lanes on one side of the highway, and
that's their reason for not going.
Oh no, that's purely like my parents' reasons. Like they had to drive me through Atlanta to get to.
I mean, I lived there for 4 years. It's
that's
pain.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't doing comedy. I wish I'd started doing comedy then.
That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be 6 years into comedy instead of 2, and oh well, fuck it.
I mean,
but.
Everything led to this moment, man.
Yeah, it's fine. But again, to your point, I mean, Atlanta, like the traffic is a pain in the ass, but like if you're going there to like, be in the city for like a great law gig or comedy, like, yeah.
And also, I mean, you have to like, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I not live in the moment, so to speak. It's like, it's traffic. Like, what are you going to do? Like, I'm in this traffic. Like, this dude beside me is in this traffic. Yeah. There's a guy in a G-Wagon that almost ran me over that's in the traffic with me. Like,
so you can kind of be at peace in that moment?
Yeah, in that moment, it's just like, oh, yeah, I'm listening to this podcast. Were you always like that?
Were you ever kind of neurotic or, like, more anxious where you would have been like... Because I kind of wonder about this.
Well, where
you'd be like, fuck! Like, gripping the steering wheel kind of guy?
I think I've always kind of been...
You've always been chill?
I won't say I've always been chill. I won't even say that I'm a... more chill. I won't even say that I'm a chill person, but I'm saying that like in some instances, especially in traffic, I'm like, what can you do about it? Like you can't get off at the varsity or the and make a quicker time. It's best to stay on this like in this lane or whatnot. So also, I mean, I have this weird thing, and it's going to sound so weird to people. I think that I enjoy the mundaneness of traffic. Okay. Like working in politics, like your schedule is not always like the most regular. Like it's not like, oh, you go in at 8, you get out at 5, or yada yada yada. Right. So when I'm stuck in traffic, I'm like, I'm a normal person. Yeah. Maybe that's a really dick. That might come off as a dick thing to say. Oh, I don't commute with the peasants.
Yeah, today, I'm hanging out with the commoners.
This is so nice. This is nice. But no, I do.
Before I do my high-minded politics and law pontificating.
Driving. I mean, I drive in really smoothly and parked right across the street. It's. Yeah. A lot of homeless people in downtown Atlanta.
Yeah, that's rough.
Like, well, I don't even know if they're homeless. They're just like on the street. Like you know what I mean? Like they don't. Yeah. I don't know where they live, but I assume it's like not.
I don't know exactly either. I was gonna make a comment on the anxiety or the. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out because like you may have always been a little bit more, chill, or maybe developed the maturity faster than I did. But I used to be super like spastic, and like if something didn't go right, I'd be like more like just more restless. I don't know. Now I'm kind of like more like roll with stuff, and I can't figure out if it's like comedy and getting used to bombing. Where like if you bomb, like you kind of learn to give less of a shit about stuff, or like maybe it's just life beating you down and just kind of like realizing, what's important and what's not. I can't really. I don't know.
Maybe
know.
I mean,
I don't know if comedy.
I guess
there are some neurotic comedians I know, but
some neurotic comedians.
A lot of
most comedians are like.
Yeah, I guess freaking Larry David made a career of being.
Yeah, I mean,
ultra neurotic.
You have like tons of Seinfeld stuff, and it's just like they're all like neurotic messes, and they're all like. I mean, I think that's what
they might play into it more though than their actual. Because if you see them sitting down outside of their shows or their art, they're kind of like pretty chill.
Yeah, I mean, David Alexander was playing Larry David's. Did I say David Alexander?
Jason Alexander.
David Alexander is a contestant on Big Brother. From like 3 years ago.
Oh yeah.
But
I didn't know that, but
I just did it. But Jason Alexander, like he's playing Larry David, and like Jason Alexander is just like an amazing actor.
Yeah,
he's like a Tony Award. I think he has a Tony.
Yeah.
So he's like an amazing actor.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably not as neurotic as the other, as like Elaine or Jerry. Or Julia Louis-Dreyfus or whatever, or Jerry, but I don't know. I feel like the neuroticism, like Always Sunny. I feel like in Always Sunny they're all neurotic.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
So
I think maybe what it is, I think I just had this epiphany. This is really philosophical and up my own ass comedy wise, like in terms of like what it is. But I think to be funny, you kind of have to like observe you being neurotic and then like portray it. But like if you were actually that way all the time, you wouldn't be able to like do it comedically. You wouldn't be able to represent it because you'd have to have like overcome that own neuroticism to be able to like put it together.
Yeah, I think
in a script or like in a Curb episode, or like you'd have to like be able to like tap into like, okay, I am this way. I have this impulse in the moment, but like that's funny as shit.
Yeah.
And then like then you can satirize it.
Yeah, I think that just has. I mean, that goes to being able to be self-reflective and self-aware, right?
Mm-hmm. But once you are that, you're more chill in real life because you're like,
probably,
you're more like F it.
Yeah, it's kind of the whole. It's like you have to admit you have a problem before you can like deal with the problem.
Right.
So it's kind of in that same vein.
And you act it out to like deal with it.
But I don't know if exactly comics like get rid of their neuroticism before but like without like what did you say?
Maybe they have like an outlet for it.
Yeah, I guess like the comedy's the outlet for it, because I feel like comics like they are so like they're sometimes so tortured because they're like forcing themselves to do like overcome this like every night to get on stage, and like they're not dealing with it.
Well, maybe comics are like this thing that like is like a pressure cooker, like a balloon that just needs to like release it on stage, and the more they release it, the more they're like okay outside. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
philosophy of comedy, dude. I follow this account that shits on podcasts that talk about the philosophy of comedy.
Really?
Yeah. They're like, what's his name?
You been clipped on there yet? Or are you like, have you been like clipped on there? You know, like taking a clip or something?
No, thank God, because I definitely have talked, because I like, you know, I love talking about that stuff, especially because you know we're doing it. But it'll be like a meme of like this guy that says comics when they start talking about the philosophy of comedy, like at a local, and I'll have this guy throwing his headphones off, like that's the corniest shit.
Yeah,
but
I guess like
stand-up's cool though.
Yeah,
I like talking about it.
No, yeah, if you're into that, like the kind of philosophy, or more like, there's a great book that kind of melds like I won't say great book. I mean, it's a good book. It's a good book. It's a good book.
It's not great.
No. Okay, I actually will say it's a great book by one of my favorite comedians, Pete Holmes.
Pete Holmes.
Pete Holmes is called Comedy, Sex, God.
Okay.
And what is it?
Comedy, sex, and God?
Yeah, I don't know if
It's
he
like how it,
I don't know if he's like ranking them, but
or is he a comedy sex god?
maybe
He thinks he's
I think that's the joke he's kind of getting at, that he.
So what is the point made in the book? Did you break down some of the
So
stuff in it by Pete Holmes?
It kind of just goes through his life. It's not really. I mean, I guess it's making a point like overall, but it's his whole thing is like really being in the moment.
Sure.
So Pete Holmes is like this huge. He calls himself like a Christian. I don't know if he calls himself a Christian spiritualist.
I literally just saw a clip of him on Colbert explaining his perspective.
Really? So
Yeah.
it's a lot. So yeah, he is really into like kind of like the, I guess for lack of a better word, like Buddhism and like Hindu type of stuff.
Sure.
With Ram Dass. You know who Ram Dass is, more or less.
Is he like the main guru?
Yeah, he
Or
just recently
a-
passed away like last year.
But he was like one of the biggest gurus.
He
in
was one of
Eastern
the-
faiths, kind of.
Yeah, he was one of the biggest gurus. I think his guru was the thing about being maybe smarter about some of the weird stuff is that when you don't know it, it kills you. But I forget the
Nobody cares if you know the name
I
of this guy.
I forget the name, but I think it's the same guy who was the guru to the Beatles. Perhaps they kind of like
Okay.
were in that same vein of.
I didn't know the Beatles had a guru.
Yeah, the Beatles, like that's when they kind of like started going into like their whole Sgt. Pepper era. Like Sgt. Pepper, the whole Sgt. Pepper era, and like afterward was really built on this like trip to India that the whole band took, and they met Maraji. I forget this like the full name, but he's a guru. And
So they were on a spiritual journey when they were creating those albums.
Spiritual Journey, Acid Trip, one of the, like something like
Both.
Yeah, both.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, like around like they were just like people of the 60s that were kind of like searching for this other they'd all kind of grew up like probably super religious. I know like some of them went to like religious schools. But and so they kind of went on this like same journey that a lot of the other kids of the time were going on.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think George Harrison was a Buddhist.
Okay.
And a vegetarian, and I don't know about Ringo. I know Ringo's a vegetarian. He might not be a Buddhist or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think Paul is a vegetarian as well.
Yeah.
Like they're all kind of like.
Well, it's kind of interesting to me, you know, this like the psychedelic drug culture and the music of the 60s and 70s. Like you can say what you want about like, I don't know, like maybe that's not a good idea to do psychedelics and go on acid trips and stuff like that. But like you can't really dispute the art that came out of it. I mean, the music of those decades to me is like more like it's lasted longer.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. There's something going on there. Like I don't know. I kind of feel like the music of like the 90s to 2022. I don't know. It's
the 90s.
There's bright spots, but like it's not like I don't know. To me, maybe I don't know.
I don't
if this
know. I mean, I
argument I'm
think
making,
that. I think that each generation like speaks to its own like with the music. Like if you, I mean, who do you like now? Who do you like right now?
I don't know.
You don't like anyone right now?
I
You
don't.
can't think of like what do you like?
Post Malone.
Okay, Post Malone. Like, do you like?
That was kind of a few years ago. I don't know.
He just came out with a new album.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's not called Post something, but it's called. I think it has his name or something.
Dude, honestly, this is weird to say. The album, Ben Jennings will get a kick out of this. The album I've like re-listened to a lot is Bo Burnham's Inside album. The songs.
Okay.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, those are really
there's
good.
something about those that like really like.
I mean, yeah, that
trip me
speaks
out.
to us. Right? That speaks to our moment, right? Like,
because that captured like a lot of emotion around the COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
In a really cool way. But
I think that you see a lot of. Maybe it's not the most pop, maybe not pop music right now, but a lot of the, your Halsey and your like Lady Gaga or your Ariana Grande.
Lady Gaga's pretty damn good.
No, yeah,
Pretty
I'm not
damn
taking
good.
anything away from Lady Gaga or Halsey or Ariana's like art or their artistry, right? Because they, especially Lady Gaga, just like makes like super high concept albums and just like understands like art on like a different plane that I will probably ever be able to understand it on. But when you look at like maybe what they're singing about, and maybe Lady Gaga doesn't fit completely into this because she does sing about more political and like more like social things. But when you look at maybe more hip hop like Kendrick Lamar and like more like underground hip hop. Like I think it does speak to like some kind of like moment that people are going through right now that are this frustration.
Sure.
And that I feel like our generation as a whole, and even
are you talking kind of the COVID?
I mean, like COVID is part of it because I feel COVID like exacerbated a lot of the issues and like exacerbated is a good word, but it also it brought to light a lot of like this sociological like systemic issues that we had, like healthcare just fucking crazy in our country, like childcare, the way we think about work, like the way we think about like the 9 to 5 days a week job, or like even how some people don't even have that 9 to 5, they're just like working fast food or like like in other like ways, and people are like rethinking a lot of that, and we've had to rethink a lot of that. And so
conventions have been shattered in so many ways.
For me and you especially, I mean, you're a few years older than me, not too many. You're still in your 20s, or you're right outside of your 20s?
I'm 33.
Oh, you're 33. Okay, good for you.
What do you mean?
You've told me that a few times, I think, but each time I'm equally as surprised. But I think I'm 27. I'm about to be 28 in like 12 days. Today's the 10th. Yeah, in like 12 days. I think for our generation, like we lived through 9/11. Like I was in second grade when 9/11 happened. I remember Columbine. Like I remember, like,
me too.
Maybe I was just a weird kid, and I definitely was a weird kid, but I remember like news stories from Columbine on the television. I remember 9/11. I remember like the 2008. I mean, I remember even asking my mom like why people were mad at George W. Bush. Yeah. When like the hang Chad thing happened.
Yeah, Florida.
Yeah, and all like kind of, I mean, it's a joke online, but like I'm really tired of like living through historical events.
Dude, I agree too.
And maybe that's
we've seen some shit, man.
And like reading, but
every generation kind of has.
Yeah,
I'm kind of reminded of that. You know, there's these documentaries I really like. They're the CNN documentaries of the different decades. Yeah. Because like so much shit happened, and you kind of forget about like all the things that went on.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
And it's almost like every decade has their own. Like this, like the 80s were no picnic, you know, with the the 70s and 80s, I guess, Cold War.
Yeah.
Really 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading this. I was about to say kind of like the same thing. I've been reading this series of books about the rise of like modern conservative culture in America, and it's like purely historical. Not really. It doesn't. I mean, it kind of has a like a political leaning, but it does. I mean, it's very, very measured in my opinion. But it's about Ron Perlstein, I think is the name. It starts with Barry Goldwater, Arizona Senator Barry Goldwater, and goes through like all the way up until Ronald Reagan. And he hasn't the last book he released is called Reaganland, and it was 48 hours worth of audiobook, and they only got to the election. They only got to him winning the election.
Oh my god!
So they haven't even gone into his 8 years of presidency.
Wow.
But yeah, listening to those like 4 or 5 books and going through the end of the Eisenhower and into JFK and then LBJ and then into Nixon and then into Carter, reading that, like, it's like, dang, these people really did like witness like so much.
Yeah,
like the stuff that they witnessed, it was kind of
like a presidential assassination.
Yeah,
insane.
I mean, JFK,
Nixon
like
resigning, Watergate,
JFK, like outside of JFK, you have the like in '68, you have MLK that gets assassinated.
Yep.
You have RFK that gets assassinated on the night of the California primary.
Yeah.
The night of the California Democratic primary, which would have solidified, I'm pretty sure, his like his running for the presidency, like that he would become the nominee. And it's just like, yo, this is so wild. This is true. Like,
I try to remind myself of the context of these things. We had a different what's her name? Damn it. This name I should know because it's a person. Comic. She was on anyway, whatever. She had lived through some of these events.
Yeah.
And COVID feels like apocalyptic and Russia, Ukraine
Yeah.
feels that way. But like at the time, these events felt apocalyptic to the people living in those times. So like I think it's important to kind of, I don't know, try to as best as we can to stay positive.
Yeah.
The degree, I mean, the stuff going on today is crazy.
Yeah.
But like,
it's not. I mean, it's
to
not.
try and think like this will pass. This too will pass. There's like an expression too about that.
Yeah,
this
too
too will pass. I think you have to live your life that way, because like if you don't, you can just drive yourself insane thinking, this is the end. Like you start doomsday prepping, all that kind of stuff. I have some friends that like go that way. And
Are preppers?
Like, not totally, but they like to indulge in the negative headlines. Yeah, and I'm just like, I can't do it. Like I literally don't like doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Because I find more meaning in other areas of my life now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people like if what attracts that kind of negative snowball, the way people think.
And it's like people have lived through. I mean, like, let's take the gas prices right now. Like
gas prices, people
have totally like lived through. I mean, the 1970, like the late 79, when the gas like that.
There were shortages.
Yeah, shortages. Like, say what you want about like the prices. Like, I've never like, oh, I might not be able to get gas today because of the last number of my license plate is an even number or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's kind of how
I didn't realize that was how it was.
That's how they did it. Like they would say like, oh, I think the last number of your license plate, if it was even, you got to go on this day. If it was something else,
so it was rationing of
kind of, yeah.
Wow.
And then they were talked about in the books that people would get arrested. I don't know like what cop would just sit there and do this, but like people would get arrested for like, oh, I took my brother's tag and put it on my car to go get gas today or whatnot, which is a good way around it, I guess. Yeah. So they've gone through gas prices. I mean, they've gone through high gas prices. They've gone through inflation before. Mm-hmm. And the good thing, I mean, the thing you have to think about, and like you said, like this too will pass. Like, I feel like every time like America's maybe come out, or America and the world, I don't want to be like American centric, but like,
well, America does drive a lot of shit because the dollars, the U.S. like this is the national reserve currency.
Yeah, it's like, and then the dollar's just like tied to imagination, like it's non-fiat. Yeah, it's like,
dude, that's actually okay. This is where I do go a little doomsday in my own head because of my econ background, but that's where I worry is like we have historic inflation and we're in a lot of debt as a nation, and like I mean. Like if it continues to get worse, the only thing kind of keeping that alive is the trust in the dollar and fear of what would happen if people just started to like not trust it anymore.
I mean, people
are kind of like, it's kind of like the belief is keeping it afloat.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and that could get to a bad place. We need to strengthen the currency back. I think that's why they're putting interest rates back up.
They're doing like what, like a percentage or so bump.
They call it quantitative tightening.
Yeah,
because the money supply is like it expanded so much with the stimulus checks and the and we always we're always at a deficit. We're always fucking spending more than we take in. Yeah, it's just not sustainable. So, but nobody wants to cut because like no politician wants to cut when they're in office. And
I mean, no one wants to cut. Party. No one wants to cut. Then no one wants to also be like, how do we make? Or no one wants to. We know how to make more revenue, right? Like it would mean like raising taxes on like hopefully the richer people, but unfortunately, probably a lot of like poorer people too.
Well, you have to raise it. Well, because the rich people make so much, you gotta tax them more. But just to get the dollars you need. Yeah. But you can't tax. There's a certain point where you kind of can't tax them enough. Yeah. You can limit productivity, or they'll just be savvy enough to park their money elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And you won't get the money.
In Panama or whatever.
Right. So
it's kind of like cigarettes and the like sin taxes that the government has figured out a place where they've reached a place where they've taxed them so much that they can make a good revenue on this, on cigarettes and like other tobacco and like other, I guess, liquor and stuff. Like they've reached that, but they haven't gone above that to a point where people will stop partaking in those vices. Yeah. So they wouldn't low, because like if they put it any more higher, it might drop down. It might like drop down more.
That's you can model that in econ. Yeah. The elasticity of demand. You can do a curve of like how much you could raise the price before the demand starts to go down. Yeah. But
that's one class I wish I had taken in college is econ. I never took an econ.
Bro. You would love it, man. Econ's fun.
So the reason I fully like went into college like I'm going to be a government. That's what they call it, Wofford. They don't call it poli-sci, but I was going to be a government and econ major, double major.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, you have to take statistics before you do economics. And I was just like, So I tried to take statistics, and I just did like so bad. I'm just like not
Really,
I'm just like not a math person.
Really, I'm shocked by that.
I mean, like
to
I
me,
said,
I
like,
like stats. Wasn't that bad?
like, so it probably isn't that bad. I'm just like, one, I wasn't like I was just like a shithead, and like wasn't as invested or like wasn't as like putting myself into it as I should have been. Because I'm like, how the fuck do you study for math? Like, this is like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, how do you study for math? And then at the same time, I was just like, oh, I don't really care about this. So I was like, I was like making a C in it when when the drop fail came up or whatever. So I was just like, I'm going to get out of this class scot free.
Yeah.
And then I took it my senior year and like made a B or something in it because I needed a math. And I put that off until my senior year.
Yeah.
That's why I wasn't an econ. Well, I mean, economics is really interesting to me.
Yeah.
But I'm just like not. I read The Economist from time to time, but that's like as far as I'll go.
The economic stuff is interesting when you look at like the history of economic systems that have been tried. So you look at the socialist calculation debate. Like it was capitalism versus socialism from like a technical economic. Yeah. There was a very serious debate about that, like whether you could optimize a system without capitalist prices. And they thought they could do it. And it was tried and it failed horribly in the Soviet Union. Yeah. Because they don't talk about that a lot, but you just couldn't efficiently allocate resources without prices. Like there's embedded information in those. And But anyway, it's cool in the historical context.
People are gonna love this part of the podcast. I'm sure.
Oh, dude,
right?
Nerdy. No, but
some really far left like watchers gonna send this to like Chapo Trap House. Do you know what that is? Like,
no,
it's just like this like super leftist podcast that they're pretty much like Bernie Bros, I guess.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, and they they're just kind of like communists.
They're
like
communists.
They're like I think like one might be communist, but like some of them are like most of them are like socialist or like to the left.
Oh, I don't know how you could still be a communist today after the systems collapse.
People will do it. I mean, yeah, that's very very surprising to me as well. But
I understand the emotion behind it because wanting like equal outcomes for everyone is kind of like on its face a good idea. But you know, I think you got to look more critically at some of the history. But
definitely. I mean, I think that people like it goes back to I think that people are dissatisfied. Like they lived through like the 2008 and they were kids then and they don't see like they don't see a way forward for themselves and like they don't see a way and the American dream is becoming like more and more dim for them. Yeah. And so I guess they see that as like
they want to claw.
They want to claw their way out and like go to some other like I guess like communism isn't technically dictatorial by nature, but like lends itself to authoritarianism.
It can be abused.
Oh yeah, like definitely. I mean, like any other system, right? Like, I mean, I would say that like unfettered capitalism is, you know, to me, like I said, not an economist, but like to me, unfettered capitalism is like not exactly, it's what led to like we have all the regulations we have today because of unfettered capitalism and like shitty meat back in the day. And like all just like different regulations and like. That's why we have the EPA and like all this other stuff.
Oh, I hate the EPA.
You hate the EPA?
Yeah.
It's like the one good thing Nixon did.
What? The EPA? Okay.
I love how we're we should start like an Odd Couple podcast.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
We should all.
Like, I need to brush up on all my policy positions, but there's regulation often has unintended consequences.
Yeah, I mean, I think
often lobbied for by the companies that are getting regulated. To protect market share, for example. The FDA, for example, my company. A lot of medical device companies, we make a lot of money off of our products. Yeah. Part of it is because like mom and pop medical device companies can't just spring up to compete with us because to do that they would have to abide by so many costly regulations to develop a product. So it would be so expensive. So meanwhile, we have this carved out, protected. We still fight with our competitors in the space, but like we're not just gonna, you don't
have to worry about.
There's not gonna be a disruptor, and that's why like the prices of healthcare, like go up, and it's like inefficient, and the technology innovation is slower. Whereas like if you go to Best Buy, and like they'll have new TVs every freaking year, like and the prices of computer chips and stuff like that goes this way because there's unbridled competition. True capitalism.
Yeah.
If I could, like, that's unbridled capitalism. Usually, like, when there's some shit going wrong. Well, I don't know. It's hard to say because I'd have to go back to the meatpacking example and think because there was some weird shit going on back then.
No, I mean, yeah.
But,
Upton Sinclair, the jungle, like it's
the
like,
jungle. Yeah.
I
remember
he's
that.
a muckraker. I'm not sure what gender
The
Upton
muckraker.
Sinclair is because like it's a very gender neutral name.
Yeah. Often more regulation equals higher cost, slower innovation.
Oh yeah, I mean
that's
yeah,
my point, I guess. But
I guess it's all like, do you?
And EPA is an interesting one. I will say that because what the economic argument would be is like where do the property rights? What are the limits of the property rights? Nobody owns the air, but everybody benefits from the air.
Yeah.
So if nobody owns the air,
well,
you can just shit into the air, like you pollute.
Yeah.
Everybody bears the cost for your shitty action.
Yeah.
If you could find a way to like have a tax that other people who are getting affected by the pollution could capture, then maybe there's an optimal market solution. But there's not an easy practical way to do that.
Yeah,
Therefore, the government has a place.
That's what like
carbon.
Does that
make sense?
Yeah, that's what a carbon tax would be essentially, I think.
Yeah, but so you can make an argument, an economic argument for a carbon tax.
Yeah, but I think there's also an argument that like the air of course is like technically no one's, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like property rights in a legal sense, from what I understand, do extend upwards to some extent because you can trespass like on someone's property by just like shooting through their property, like in the air. Like if
flying in a plane.
Yeah, if you fly a drone maybe like over someone's property, that can be considered like just. I assume there's a limit, right? There's a limit upward that you can. I mean, and of course, there's like
your law experience to bear on this.
There's like a limit downwards as well, right?
Yeah.
Like people have mineral rights below their below their domicile or their property, like to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. So I mean, yeah.
So I agree, dude. I'm sick of living through historical events. I want just like. But again, if you look backwards, there wasn't really that much stability.
I think there's like
maybe the tail end of Obama's first term.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need
2016 to 20. I mean,
that's what we need.
Trump's term there was a lot of news about, but there wasn't a lot of like wars or like crazy shit going on. 2016 to 2020.
Yeah, I would say
there was a lot of protesting against Trump, but there wasn't like.
I would say that like, it was like
fine.
more. It's like more like domestic,
mm-hmm.
if so to speak. I mean, there was certainly like he certainly like killed just like an Iranian general or whatever he did.
Yeah,
that made it kind of dicey for a minute. I mean, I think that I guess that is when you look at. I mean. Looking back, I guess like most of it, like I said, is like more domestic turmoil than anything. I would say that the end of Obama's first term, I guess like all we need is like we need a Democratic president and like a Republican House and Senate, right? Like,
yeah, or vice versa. I kind of like a gridlock situation, honestly. I don't like when both parties are in control. That somebody will. It
rarely like even works out for either party. Honestly,
yeah.
Like
whatever they can even get past is usually a watered down version of what they ran on.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, I do actually.
Yeah.
I do like more Republican policies because they tend to slow government a little more, but it's only marginally. Like the growth of government, I just feel like mostly because we can't pay for it. Not that they don't have good ideas. I appreciate political activists' enthusiasm, but we're freaking broke, dude. We don't have to talk politics, by the way.
I mean, no, I'm like everyone was 1:30, 1:20, like an hour 29. People have tuned out like 20 minutes ago.
No, dude. No, this has been fascinating. And actually, I wanted to, because we got off on a tangent. Sex, Love, God.
Oh yeah,
I wanted to hear
Sex,
about
Love,
that
God.
book.
Like it goes through his life. Pete Holmes, back to Sex, Love,
Pete
God.
Holmes.
Pete Holmes, Ramdas. It talks about him like going. So he was a comic after, like in law school or in law school in undergrad, and he started comedy right at the tail end of his undergrad, and he went to some religious college, I think, and he was a very religious person. He was very like evangelical Christian type, and he married a girl. He married a girl straight out of college that he had been in love with throughout college, deeply, madly in love with this girl.
So he followed the Bob Jones path.
Essentially, yeah, like Ring by Spring type situation, and he moved to Chicago from Boston. He was from Boston. He moved to Chicago from Boston with this girl, and they're married. And then he moves from Chicago to New York because he's picking up some steam
with comedy.
Yeah, with comedy, and they move in, and then like his wife's a teacher, and his wife ends up like cheating on him, and he ends up divorcing him, and like all this stuff. And through that, he kind of, for a time, loses his faith. And then through his own like discovery process, he starts like experimenting is a weird way to put it. He starts like learning about different types of philosophies and different religions, and starts meditating, and
all while he's doing stand-up.
And right. If you want, you can go back and listen to like the thousands of episodes of You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes and like see his transformation through that.
Interesting. And so he becomes a different person through that show. You can tell.
I don't know if it's a different person. He's still kind of like the same. Like you can tell there's some kind of like different air about him a little bit, but he's still kind of like the same like hammy like kind of Pete that
Okay.
But he goes in and talks about his philosophy and like how he meets with the podcast is great because he meets with a bunch of comedians, but he also meets with like a bunch of like religious leaders. He has like a lot of like Buddhist or Hindu thinkers on, like people like Krishna Das and a couple of other like people that are in Ram Dass's like sphere of influence. The people that like Ram Dass was they're either Ram Dass's friends or like they're people that Ram Dass like was the guru for.
Okay.
And then he has Rob Bell, who is a very like...
I know Rob Bell.
Rob Bell, do you like Rob Bell or you don't like Rob Bell? Okay. So Rob Bell, he has Rob Bell.
No, just like abandon the church already, bro. Like if you're going to like go a different way. I don't know.
What do you mean? Like, so he got kicked out of his church, right? Is that...
He got very new agey, but he still kind of likes to like... I don't even know what he is now.
I mean, I would say he's like a Christian. He's just like a new age, like Christian.
New age,
right?
Yeah. He went away, but to me, the reason I guess I don't like him is because like he was like this like lightning rod of like a pastor, very much in like the like.
Because he's like from your area,
Michigan.
Yeah, he's from Michigan.
Yeah. So like the whole non-denominational, like he was like this really exciting pastor, and then he like got kind of famous.
Yeah.
From like the goodwill of like evangelical people. And then like leverage this fame into more books, and then just becomes this new age douchebag. I'm like, fuck you, Rob Bell. Like, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
About Rob
so
Bell.
he talks to Rob Bell a few times. I think Rob Bell is
not that they don't have interesting ideas. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I am more open to like some of the spiritual stuff. It just in terms of, it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like it's outside of the box, right? Like,
yeah.
It's
like what was Pete Holmes' kind of takeaways? I mean, like in terms of that book and like
I think
how he evolved out of his evangelical understanding to like kind of how he is now.
Yeah, I think he took his like big takeaway is that like Jesus and like I guess Jesus. I can't say like Jesus and the churches, but Jesus' main point was like love like other people and like be a good person, right? And I'm really dumbing down his arguments. Please spend like $20 and buy Pete Holmes' book. I'm sure you can get it for cheaper at a Barnes and Noble. But that Jesus's main points were about like love one another and like don't be a dick, essentially.
Yeah,
and that's at least what like he finds from Rob Bell.
It kind of seems like Jesus, spirit of the law versus letter of the law of the Old Testament kind of thing.
Yeah,
like what was. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll readily admit like I'm not like a theologian. I'm not like a theology guy. Like I grew up in church, like going like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
But I'm not really like know like the fathers of the church and all this other.
Well,
crazy,
I sometimes have a hard time reconciling creativity with religion, because like creativity. Keep playing footsie with me, Tom? No, it's fine. When I'm in like thinking about comedy and how to write comedy and think for that, I kind of have to like not think about what's morally right or wrong. I have to think about how I actually feel, and how I actually feel might be angry, might be vulnerable, might be horny, might be like anything. Like I just trying to be honest, and like I feel like you kind of are like muzzled when you're like, I gotta be this way. Yeah, like I gotta write clean, or I gotta do this. Yeah. I gotta get this approval, work in this box. I don't find that productive, so I have to like compartmentalize.
Yeah, you should definitely read. I think that like you probably should definitely read this, because it's a lot of like, because he was a clean comic, because he was so like
he wanted to abide by those rules.
He was the one to abide by those rules, and like he kind of likened it. He's like, I just want to be like, he like live in the moment. He's like, I want to be like, when I'm feeling this way, I want to be honest, and like, I'm feeling horny, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry, like. And then he also talks about, it's like, my big problem with like a bunch of preachers, like when I was like, talks about when he was little, or like when he was like growing up or whatnot, when he was a teenager and adolescent. He said, sometimes like I felt like a bad Christian, because like some days I woke up and I'm like, I don't know if I believe in God today. And then some days I would wake up and he would be like, I believe in God today. And he's like, and I felt like such a bad Christian. And like now looking back on that, it's like, I think it's so messed. This is what he says. He's like, I feel like it's so messed up that preachers don't even admit that. Yeah. Because like, he's like, I can only speak for my own faith, but I don't know if there's faith strong enough out there to be like, every day you wake up and you're like, there is a God. Like, he's like, I just wish a preacher would be honest, or I wish a preacher would have been honest and been like, hey guys, today I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. Like on the pulpit, like, and you can't do that, right? Because you would be like ran out of town on a rail, right? At least like down here, like it wouldn't be accepted. Like it wouldn't be accepted really well. So
yeah, there's a song by the is it the Avid Brothers called "The Way to Lies," and one of the lyrics is, damn it, I hope I can get this right. It's something like, the cruelest thing a man can do is draw a hungry crowd, showing all his good parts and leaving out his doubt. It's like something what that's that guy. Yeah. And that's where I think ideology gets dangerous. It's like, that's the attractive part about ideology, is it's certain. So like all of the chaos around me, all of the pain and suffering I'm experiencing in my life, that guy's saying something that he seems to think he doesn't have any doubts. He like, that's the program. If you follow this, then my life has meaning. And I feel like there's political people that tap into that spirit. There's religious leaders that tap into that shit. But like, you really want somebody who's authentic, being like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Yeah. Just being honest. But I'm gonna be honest with you, and like, you know.
And you want to know the messed up thing about it is that like, we crave that we crave the certainty. Like we crave the strength and the certainty, and it's like why people come up with conspiracy theories, because they're like, it's like, if there isn't someone out there controlling all the things that are messing up, not only in my life but in the world, I don't know if I can deal with that.
It's too much to handle.
It's too much to handle, and like.
Absolutely.
And so people will rush to people that are like, this is what you need to do. I'm the one who can fix things. Like, believe in this and everything will, I don't believe in this and a lot of stuff will be right for you. And it's like, well, I mean, it's not that clear cut most of the time.
The reality is that life is kind of chaos, and existential philosophers talk about this as like the fundamental problem of modern man post scientific revolution. It's like the old meaning structures crumbled, kind of. Science blew holes in them at least, and now man's like, what the fuck do we do with ourselves? Do we go to a dictator, or do we busy ourselves with pleasure till we die? Or
it's hard to
what
like,
do we do?
It's hard to reconcile the fact that like ultimately like life is like one thing. It's just one thing after another, and it's not that every one of those things is bad or every one of those things is good. It's that there's good and bad in both. And I think P. Holmes also speaks a lot about, and I've used this in my own life a lot, that like we have to like, it sucks that pain exists, and it sucks that like horrible things are horrible things exist in general, like not even just like horrible things that happen to you, but it's like shit gets bad sometimes, right? So it's like, but what you have to like find peace through those things is that like without bad moments, without like pain, without sorrow, like you would never understand like happiness or ecstasy or joy. So like P. Holmes talks a lot about that, and like that's a big thing that I've used in my like. It's like today kind of sucks, but yesterday was good. Right? Like that's how you have to sometimes think about. Things. And I'm trying to think of Ethan Hawke. Actor Ethan Hawke had a really great book that came out that was kind of similar to that called like The Darkest Brightness or some kind. It's around those lines.
Finding the silver lining and
essentially, something like that. And but yeah, I mean. Yeah, you can go all like existential and absurdist and like think that everything's that like if you're like The Stranger by Albert Camus. It's like a philosophical book that like 11th graders read.
Albert Camus, was he French?
He was French Algerian. Yeah.
When did he live? Around the time World War II? Or?
Yeah, around like right. I mean, I think he died like in the 60s or 70s or sometime after that.
But he was like
he was an absurdist, so he kind of thought that like life is absurd and crazy, and there's no rhyme or reason to what happened. Like I'm gonna be put on trial and go and be put to death because of like some guy on this panel that said I was guilty, and that's ridiculous. And he just like goes into all of this. It's a really good book. Everyone should read it. But
I've been reading up on existential philosophers recently.
Really?
Yeah. Friedrich Nietzsche, Dostoevsky, and they're kind of all around the turn of the 20th century.
Yeah.
And kind of witnessing the death of God, as Nietzsche would put it, and what the consequences of that would be. So anyway, I mean, that's a whole other thing.
No, yeah. That stuff's like super interesting to me. Like not even, I mean, I'm not.
It is too, because they boil down. I mean, the dilemma is not changed, you know.
Yeah.
So like you see nihilism in people every day. Yeah. Like
I feel like it's comedians we see it so much. Like just like a bunch of nihilist comedians that we like. Yeah. Not only that in our scene, but like in every scene.
The thing I like about Nietzsche a lot, and I don't want to get too attached to Nietzsche because his philosophy was so like it lends itself to like narcissism and
Nazism.
Well, it was the Nazis.
Kind of like they bastardized it.
I think most people would say that.
Yeah.
But basically he kind of says God's dead. Don't assume there's anything else. Okay. So like the only way to transcend that is to like lean into the suffering sort of. And he thought the only place where like meaning could be created was in the arts.
Yeah.
In the humanities.
Interesting.
That he really, but he thought like even some of that could be corrupted. Like when it gets commercialized, like you see shitty art, you see shitty TV shows, you see shitty movies. But how like honest authentic expression in the form of like writing, philosophy, literature, comedy, I think, is a way for where meaning can be found.
Yeah.
And the reason that resonates with me is like I kind of feel that way, and I'm sure you do too. Like when comedy works, and you're participating in it, it's like that seems to make all these existential questions less significant to me. I'm like, okay, like this feels meaningful. Jess Cooley said the same thing on the show. He's like, the meaning in comedy is why he does it. Like,
I mean, for some people, it does give them meaning to their life. I feel like.
Do you feel like that, or for you, is it more of like you don't get as philosophical with it? You're just like it's something I enjoy, and
I don't know. Maybe I feel like some part of me does feel that, like does feel like, oh, this gives meaning, like this gives me like a community, this gives me like friends to be around, and like
does give that too.
Like a great, like I mean, I think the community we have here in Greenville is just like so like it's one of the better ones that I've witnessed in the short time that I've like in the few that I've gone around and like seen extensively. But I guess like I felt like when I started doing comedy, it was like 2015, which is way too long ago. It feels way too long ago. And I was in college, and I wasn't the best student in college, and I had like attached myself throughout my high school, like my like from kindergarten all the way till I was a senior in high school, people would always be like, it was always assumed that like I was in the top of my class, kind of. I was in the upper echelon of like percentages, so to speak. I was in a high percentile. And I had like attached myself to like, oh, Tucker's the smart one. Tucker's always maybe like one of
that was your identity?
It felt like that. I felt like I was like, oh, I'm this person who knows about weird, like I know about things that people don't know about. Like I'm like a history nerd, and like I really enjoy like knowing about the government in like high school, which is apparently interesting. Like it's apparently like something that doesn't happen a lot, or at least when I was in high school. Or and I know about, I might have known about like artists and like Broadway like more than your average high schooler, and even like sports. And so then so I had attached myself to this identity as like the smart person, right? And I was a huge asshole. I was kind of like a huge asshole.
Stuck up?
Kind of stuck up. I will like fully admit that. Like to that, like coming out of high school into early college, even into college, like even further into college, I was like I was just like stuck up about like, oh, I'm smart. You aren't. Like anything that someone else, like anything that like, if I don't respect you, or if I don't see you as smart as me or smarter, it's not, I think you're like an idiot, right? like I don't know what to, like, I mean, yeah. And some part of that is like, that was built in by people being like, you're special, like, about this, like you're in honors this, you're in AP that, you're going to Wofford, like it's a really good school. That was kind of just like built in. But then when I got to Wofford, and like all of the kids are that. Yeah. And I really struggled with like, who
am I?
Exactly. Like, what's my identity? And I struggled. Like, I joined a fraternity, and like, I love all the guys that I was in a fraternity with. And I really loved that process and the time that I was in that fraternity. And I felt like, and like, that kind of gave me some meaning, and it gave me community and whatnot. But still, I was just like, what am I like within, like, what am I really?
As an individual.
You're
like, still part of a group identity.
I'm still part of I'm still part of this group. And like, so for a long time I was just like, well, I mean, like, I had this revelation. Like, well, I'm not a smart guy. Like, does that mean I'm dumb? So that got me really like down on myself, and like, and I was, like I said, I was thinking like, who am I as a person? Like, who am I as an individual? And then I kind of was like struggling with that throughout going through college, and like going in like into my final semester. I think going into my final year, excuse me. It was between my junior year and my junior year and my senior year. And between my junior year and my senior year, I remember the exact rest stop I was at when I messaged the No Expectations comedy page. And trying to think. Yeah, I was at it's for going from Alabama to Georgia. I think it's the first rest stop inside of Georgia from Alabama. Yeah. And I pass it all the time going home, or coming back and going to school, going back to Oxford. And each time I'm like, that's where I messaged No Expectations. And then I just kind of jumped in, and I started doing stand-up, and like I automatically was like, oh, this feels good. This feels good. This feels great. Yeah. And this feels like like you said, it means something. It is like making me part of a community, right? Because I feel like every community that everything that I'd been a part of, I was like, oh, well, I was kind of just born in South Carolina, like near this church, like that my parents took me to. So like I was kind of just like, but there's shoved into that. I was kind of shoved into the school.
Like, this is like a voluntary participation in a community of it's a group, but there's also the individual aspect. Like nobody can like do it for you. Nobody can like take the mic for you and make you do the act itself. Yeah. So like there's an aspect of like craziness to it. There's aspects of like bravery and
but at this
and the only way for it to work too is when you're being authentic on some level. I think. I mean, that's how I feel about it, and that's kind of why I think maybe that helped kind of align the meaning feeling for you, because like you're kind of being yourself when you're doing it the right way on stage.
Yeah, you're kind of just like, it's a raw moment for you. Like you're
Yeah.
out there and it's kind of like you're just like bearing like what you think is funny. Like I wrote this, right? Like I wrote this. Like please validate me,
Right?
And the only reason I kind of said at the beginning that I was like, I don't know if it gives me meaning, or like I don't know if I would say that first off, is because for me a lot of the times I'll say that for me a lot of the times like growing up, like I did theater and I did marching band, I did band in general, like I did like concert band and all that.
So you had done similar things.
I've done similar things, but I will say, and get this, okay, I don't think I touched on this when we were earlier, like in our first episode that we did, but I didn't know what stand-up comedy was when I was a little kid, but I would like make my parent, like I would make my mom and my stepdad like sit in like the living room and like, hey, could I do stand-up for y'all? I didn't know what it was. Like I don't know where I even like came up with the like I don't even know where I came up with the concept of stand-up comedy. But I was like, can I do stand-up for y'all real quick?
Right.
And it wasn't stand-up. I'll tell you what it was. It was literally me doing pratfalls. Just like doing fake falls. And like falling all over the place, like doing like I don't know you like slapstick.
Okay.
I was doing like slapstick, like Three Stooges comedy
in front of your parents.
In front of my parents, just like, and they weren't. I mean, they might have laughed, like like pity laughed, but like that was my first pity laugh, probably.
Like, is Tucker okay?
I mean, no, yeah, they're like, this kid, we probably should get him tested, but we don't have the money to get him.
Put him in a special class.
Yeah, we did.
He's like hitting his head on the floor on purpose.
It's like, we cannot deal with the financial like ramifications of finding out he's autistic. Like we can't deal with that right now. Yeah. But yeah, but that's so I've always kind of, I mean, I don't know why I even thought, I didn't even know how, like I said, found out like what stand up was, but I heard the word somewhere.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of been like Pete Holmes, like more of like a ham, like a little attention-seeking goblin. Running around at parties, like running around at family cookouts, like making people pay attention to me.
Right.
And I think that I probably I was probably doted on like too much as like by my parents. They were probably like too encouraging about like, Tucker, you're so great, you're so good. You're like, which is great. Thank you, Mom and Neil. Like that, you perfect child rearing. But I feel like I always like seek that validation from everyone. I'm like a person, I'm like, I want people to like me.
I do that too. I have
like,
that too.
I want people to like me so much. Like I don't even know.
Yeah.
And like when people laugh at me, I assume, or when they laugh at my jokes, like I assume they're liking me, and that just like that just like makes.
They have to. You can't laugh at somebody you don't like.
True.
They are
I mean, I don't know. Like I sometimes give like I laugh at like jokes that comedians. I'm like, oh, you thought that was funny, and like that's the funny thing.
Oh, sure. I guess that could be the case.
No,
but most of the time,
again,
you
asshole.
like the person.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a weird form of like attention-seeking, narcissistic kind of. But like, but also like, I don't know if you're pulling it off somehow. I don't know.
I feel like it's both. I mean, it can be
like
both.
Something good. There's something good about what you're doing if it's like authentic, and you're not. Because actually, I think Norm Macdonald had said this. Like, there are tricks to stand up. Like, you can make people laugh, and you're not actually doing like good stuff that's like authentic to who you are. Like, it's kind of like hacky, whatever.
You can go up and say like, "Give it up for the troops," and like everyone claps, and that's a trick that I know. Like,
or you can like make a stupid roast about somebody, and it's like nonsensical, but people will laugh because you singled somebody out. There's like just stand-up tricks and stuff. But like, I don't know, a lot of the time when it's working, you're actually like kind of, being authentic on a certain level. So if you're being brave and honest, I think that's a good thing, even though it is pretty attention-seeking. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's how I live with myself.
Like I said, we just said that like it's bad to say like it's this one. Like we were saying that it's bad for people to say I'm the one way, right? Like like through me you can find something, you can find meaning. It's the same thing. It's just like there's no one way, or there's it can be both. It can be like a little bit of meaning and a little bit of your own weird self-satisfaction.
Yeah. Although I do think there is something to like the concept of like being honest. It doesn't have to be through stand-up, but like saying what you mean, not holding it in.
Yeah.
Like in a conversation. Like let's say you have like a fight with like your brother and there's like this unspoken tension. The brave thing to do would be to call it out and deal with it.
Yeah.
The cowardly thing to do would be just not say anything. Like those kind of actions are like, you know, being brave to do the thing you really want to do or say. Stand-up's just like a pure form of that all the time. But like,
do you think it's the cowardly thing to do, or do you think it's like more of like the self-preservation thing to do? Or do you think that cowardly and self-preservation are the exact same thing?
It is self-preservation because it's risky to poke your head up.
Yeah.
Out of a group.
Yeah, it's like the highest nail gets hit hardest.
Exactly. Right? So, I don't know. There's a lot of... This gets into like a lot of my Jordan Peterson stuff, which his psychology lectures, not his political leanings, but...
What would we do without men?
What would we do? The patriarchy. Oh. It's... Human beings are a weird kind of animal is kind of his analysis, in that we are prey and predator, and also we exist in like competence or dominance hierarchies and stuff, and also like the narratives that we talk about in religion and myth, like particularly the knight narrative. Like the brave knight who leaves the castle and slays the dragon to get the gold and shit.
Yeah.
What they're actually like, it's risky as hell to leave the castle and you might die. So in a way it might be cowardly to stay home, but you'd be safe.
Yeah.
But the knight is the one that gets the gold if he slays the dragon.
Yeah.
So like it's worth it to be brave and do that. And the more people that do that, in a metaphorical sense or psychological sense, the better the world gets. Is kind of his point. Does that make sense?
Oh no, I
think the risk is worth the journey, kind of.
Yeah.
If you don't die.
Yeah.
And in modern day society, thank God we're not in the food chain anymore. Like you can take risks that won't kill you. You know.
Yeah.
Like public speaking, most people are afraid of it. So like that's why
that's like most people would rather die than public speak.
That's
like,
that's the Seinfeld classic joke of like they'd rather be in the after you're at a funeral. Most people would rather be in the casket than doing the eulogy. But
I mean, I think Jordan Peterson's like his psychology stuff is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean I can't really say anything about his political stuff. Like I'm like wholly against a lot of it.
Well, I don't even.
I mean, like, I think that he just kind of fell into that. Like, it's very similar to, I guess, like Rob Bell. Like he was like had this whole like gig as like a speaker, right? Like he had this whole like psychology speaker going around, like doing like self-help and all this stuff. And then like the next thing you know, he's like making these like outlandish political statements, which is neither here nor like. It's Jordan Peterson. Like the dude sounds like Kermit. Like I'm not gonna get to like he does like have a very like big influence, I think, on a lot of young men. But
in a positive sense sometimes. I really think
the more people we have like going out and being knights, I like doing the knightly thing, like going out and being brave and like stepping outside of their box. And if you're stepping outside of your box and like you said, like doing the like brave thing of like being honest. Yeah. The more honesty I think we have, the better the better our world would be, right? Like if we're all living our truth, living in the moment, like, and that's where we get like all these like horrible, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the world's issues stem from like the whole like being pent up inside of ourselves and like not being like able to be our true selves or like being like honest with everyone around us. And that's, but I think it is kind of weird. Not weird, but it's, you were talking earlier, or you were saying like a little bit ago about Jordan Peterson's like psychology, and it seems like he applies like a lot of like humans are animals, right? But he applies a lot of those like animalistic traits to humans. And I was just I feel like, I don't know if I like the whole alpha and like beta situation or the omega situation, like, does that apply as much to humans like as it does to like, and doesn't, I think like even the people that did the wolf study about the alpha and the betas and all that, like they've come out and been like, yeah, I don't know if that like really.
I don't. I see it in the world, but they're more like, it's not like dominance as much as competence.
Yeah.
Hierarchies where there's like really good lawyers, mediocre lawyers. There's like really good comedians, mediocre comedians, open micers. There's like and also when it gets into like mating, like women seek out like good partners based on certain factors, but it's not always clear because like the guy who has the most money could be an idiot with women. So like, what is the magic elixir that like, and I kind of feel like in a sense when it comes to mating, we are not above our own evolutionary biology. I feel like men and women make decisions based on their lizard brain a lot more than rational
pertaining to like sexual partners
and competence and dominance and things like that. Like a male who is like goal oriented, seems to have a good social network, has resources.
I mean,
it appears to be a more secure partner than somebody who doesn't.
Yeah.
So that in terms of, like, I don't know about the wolf study and the alpha, but like that's kind of what I'm imagining, like fractionated. Because now you could be the best video gamer, you could be the best TikToker. Like there's all these other categories.
So you can be alpha at
a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not saying like there's one.
Yeah, I think that version of it is really great, but I think that like a lot of people that adhere to that like alpha beta thing, it's like if you're a computer designer, if you're a computer engineer, you're a beta. Like if you're like some skinny dude, you're a beta. Like
that to me is like frat boy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interpretation.
It's like frat boy psychology.
Yeah. I wouldn't ascribe to that at all.
No. Yeah.
Well, I think that's why human beings are great, because like we've like decentralized the animalistic form of a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Because if you're a lion, there's not really a lot of complexity to like what makes a good lion.
Yeah.
Like you get the most fucking animal, like I don't know.
Yeah.
You're big and strong. Great.
Yeah.
There's so many more dimensions that a human being could be competent at now that like it takes many different forms.
Yeah, there's you're talking about never mind. But with mating, there's this musical called Be More Chill.
Yeah.
And it's all about this like little neurotic, like anxious, like teenager, and he takes this pill to make him like super cool. And the pill it's like this Japanese pill that contains this like person inside of his head that like makes it like does all the stuff to make him cool. But anyway, one of the lines in it is hilarious. It's the very first song, and his like dorky kind of like stoner friend is just like, hey man, I heard that there was a study that just came out that evolution has technically stopped. And he's like, that's great. He's like, that's great for us because now women are more. It's because you don't need to be strong to get the girl anymore, which is great because there's no better time in history for being a loser. And it's like, yeah, I guess like girl like people in general don't want like the worst of something, right? Like they're not gonna sit there and be like, yeah, that's the worst accountant, or like that's like, let me go after this dude that's like kind of a scrub, or like a girl that what have you. That's like on the you want someone who's like goal oriented. That's the best way to put it. Like someone who has goals, I think, is like something that a lot of people want. I don't think anyone's like, I want this dude that's like just chilling. Like, no, like,
I'd be chilling.
It's like I don't. You just don't. For me, I don't want like a partner that's just like, this is what I do. Like I just like do nothing, or like I'm fine with being a like middle management for the rest of my life. I like someone like who's upwardly mobile and like like going for it. You know what I mean? But
it's weird too. Like I think there's a lot of like little stuff. God,
the lizard brain stuff is so interesting to me. I think
it is. Dating is a mind fuck though, because it's like. Yeah, because there's like little shit about like approaching a girl from scratch, where like, because now that I don't drink anymore, I feel weird because like in my 20s I drank a lot, and like approaching women was like no big deal when you're drinking because it's like whatever. But now, I don't know. There's all this subtlety to it, and it's just stupid.
But the thing is, like, when you're drunk, you don't understand subtlety, right? Or you at least don't
right,
recognize. Yeah,
right. You kind of have that shut off to an extent.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're like, this is stupid. What the hell am I gonna say? Like nothing of substance.
Yeah.
But there's all this little stuff that goes into like body language and
there's just like micro
like
expressions and stuff.
like way they can perceive if you're like, giving off good
vibes,
safe vibes, good energy, or if they should be afraid of you. Like, and and a lot of it's just being comfortable in your own skin and stuff like that.
But just think about it like this, like. I really don't have a problem speaking with anyone, right? Like, I
don't either.
Like, I don't have a problem going up and like speaking to anyone. I think that the thing to remember is that, like, technically, if we're being real, like, drunk David is inside of you, right? Like, drunk David is like lizard David is back there, like hanging out with like lizard Hillary Clinton and like chilling in your brain. And you just have to like, the way that you unlock him is like getting drunk, but like, of course, I'm sure there's other ways. Like, you really lizard brain, like, you don't want it to come out at all times. Like, you want it to be like able to engage in certain situations. But like, dating is just like, people are wild. Like, people are wild about going, like, people on Tinder just like. So like finicky, or like if you're on Bumble, it's even worse. And then there's all kind. It's definitely interesting navigating it, because like no other time before, like, could you be like, let me get a date for tonight and like pull out your phone and like,
I think that's not stated enough in terms of like when it comes to dating now, like the options both sides have, men and women, are like infinite.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the marriage age is getting later for a lot of people.
I can date someone across the country if I wanted to. Like, in like theory, I could say like I'm in a long distance relationship with someone across the country.
Right. So why settle down if you have all these options? It's a question.
You're like in a museum and you're like, damn, like, why would I stay like looking at this picture when I could just like move to the next one?
Yeah.
But
dude, have you seen Last Man on Earth? The Will Forte show?
No, I've not.
Well, he thinks he's the last man on Earth. There's a virus that knocks out everyone. Sounds kind of familiar.
All the men or everyone?
Everyone.
Okay.
Well, or so he thinks.
Okay.
And then he sees this little plume of smoke. He's about to kill himself in the first episode. Then he's about to crash his car into a boulder. Is how he was going to do it. He's an idiot. Like, he could have killed himself any other way. Then he sees this little puff of smoke, and he drives over to it, and it's a woman. But she's like kind of annoying, not super attractive, but in episode 2, they like kind of get together. He's like, well, screw it. We'll get married because we're going to repopulate the earth. Because
he just get married. They're the only two people.
Well, I know. He just wants to have sex, but she's like, I'm not going to have sex with you until we're married. He's like, why? It doesn't matter. And she's like, we're going to get married. So he gets married, and he's like driving, and he's like looking at the ring, and he's kind of happy. And then all of a sudden he hits this car, and it's a limo that was driving through. And January Jones gets out of the limo, and she's like, smoking hot chick, and he just got married, and he's like obsessed with this chick, and like she's like, I just been driving around for 2 weeks. You should have put your address on the sign. I would have found you. And like,
put your address on what? The sign?
Yeah, because he put signs of where he was living. He was in Tucson. He's like alive in Tucson because he thought he was the only one. So anyway,
yeah.
So he settled, and then
who plays the girl that's like annoying?
Oh, what's her name? You'd recognize her. She's one of the voices in Bob's Burgers.
Oh, Kristen Schaal.
I think so.
For Louise.
She has like this annoying high pitched
voice.
Yeah.
Kristen Schaal. Or Schaal or however.
So she's Will Forte's wife, and then January Jones is like smoking hot, and Phil's like, damn it. It's just a funny scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that. I mean, that was like to apply that to today. Like, you get married, and then tomorrow you meet somebody hotter. Shit.
Yeah, but I mean, hopefully you find other things to like about the person than their like looks, right? Like that can like sustain you.
Of course, but I'm a piece of shit. So.
Yeah.
No. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I mean. Do you go on a lot of dates in Greenville?
No. Well, I hadn't. Before, when I wasn't doing comedy, I had more free nights of the week. I would dating would kind of be like a social thing. I'd be like, I want to go on dates because I'm not doing anything some of these nights of the week. Now I'm just doing stand-up most nights. So like I don't have a lot of free nights, but
yeah. The one thing bad about comedy is that like, not the one bad thing. There's a lot of bad things about comedy probably, but like there's no women I guess around for like the straight comedians, right? Like to like let's have comedy babies like everybody.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's definitely fewer girls. And we
have a good number of, like I wish there were more girls, not just because of like sexual desire, but like but because like there's like the more women, you know, I think that, you know, the more women we have, like there's going to be funnier people. Not that women are funnier men or men that are funnier than women, but like that if you have more people in general in a scene, it only makes sense that like there's going to be funnier people coming out.
I agree. I actually really do like when there's a good mix of comics on a lineup. Like if there's too many of like, you know, white dudes with abortion jokes in a row, I'm like, shit, dude. Let's get a woman up there to even this shit out, dude. Or
like you can only go through so many people that like look like me with a Marvel shirt.
Yeah.
Like before it gets like old.
Yeah. Let's get some diversity. Let's get some different. Yeah. But yeah, man. Dating.
I feel like you could still go. Like you should still like you have the weekend to go on dates.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your dating life like?
I mean, I haven't been on one since I've been back, but like when I was in Oxford, I would just like date around.
Yeah.
Like I don't have like that. I would preface like everything as like I'm in law school. Like I'm not. Like I'm like let's go get dinner. You know what I mean? Like I'm just trying to like go around. Like I'm just trying to like go out and drink with you, or like you know what I mean, and just like
Big Daddy Tucker taking you out of the town.
That's what. It's like let's go to the cheapest restaurant because the government loan that I have can only pay for so much. It's like we're going to Cookout. I'm going to get a tray and we're going to split it. I hope you're cool with half of a big double burger cheddar style.
Oh like, hell yeah! I did the big double burger tray. Yeah, everything on the burger. Cheddar style you get?
Cheddar style.
What is that?
It's like onions, bacon, and like cheese whiz, like
cheese whiz,
like melted cheese, like it's like nacho cheese or kind of. It's
okay.
like it's at least like it's not like nacho cheese because it's not exactly spicy, but they but it's like it's like goopy cheese. It's not like a slice of cheese. It's like runny cheese.
I feel you.
But
yeah, that's definitely an indulgence for me right now.
What? Oh, Cookout?
Oh, yeah. Dude, I eat it several times a week.
I feel
at like 2 a.m. after comedy.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like if I live downtown, I wouldn't go. Like, I feel like it's right there. It's like right over there, right?
It is. It's like a 5-minute drive.
Yeah. So
it's just the problem is like late night food options aren't really available during the week downtown.
Yeah.
Even.
I don't like. Is Sully's open a lot?
It is, but only on Fridays, Saturdays. Yeah. That late. It's open during the week, but
yeah. There aren't really like unless you want like to walk up toward like the Hyatt and get like that pizza. I don't even know if that's open on the weekends.
Yeah.
But yeah, there needs to be more.
During the week, the options are McDonald's, Cookout, or QT.
Taco Bell, if you can like look out.
Taco Bell, if you can get in under the, because they'll close at like midnight sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But
yeah, there used to be like before Society was there across from Underground.
Mm-hmm.
There was a diner like 2 years previously called 24 Diner. Okay. It was open 24/7.
Oh, that would be sweet.
And
I love Society.
It only went for like a year, maybe.
Okay.
Was
it sustainable business?
It really wasn't a sustainable business. Like I don't even need it to stay open like 24/7. Just like stay up until like 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Guys. Like like if Greenville wants to be like a mid-major city, like we need to get late night options, guys.
Yeah. Shit, yeah, dude. Yeah, my late nights are pretty sacred. I'm like, yeah, it's my time. It's my time to not think about my job tomorrow, or hopefully riding a decent set. And
do you write at night?
Huh?
Do you write comedy at night?
Oh, not riding the high of like a decent set.
I got you.
I write whenever.
That's all I am.
It's just when things come to me, like in conversation or like
exactly.
Yeah.
I'll be laying in bed and maybe like think about something or like see like some tweet and be like, oh well, they should probably go this direction.
Yeah.
This like thought.
Do you have a new premise you're working on you want to share? You don't have to if you. Doesn't have to be a fully formed joke or anything. I'm just
trying
curious.
to think about premises that I have. They're all on my phone. That's the bad thing. Like I can't like they're if I always like will write something down in my notes app and then come back a couple months later and be like, what did I mean by this?
Yeah.
This is like the writings of a madman at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I can give you one of mine while I'm thinking.
Yeah,
or while you're thinking of it. I don't even have this in joke form, but I kind of wanted to do something about how people recommend shows, but nobody watches what anybody recommends. Like, because you don't really want to watch what somebody else recommended. You want to be the one to find the thing to recommend to other people. And like,
you've done that on stage, right? I think.
No, I haven't. I don't think I have. Have you heard me say something like that?
I thought I've heard you say something like that. It might be like someone. It might not have been that joke exactly, but I think
damn, maybe somebody else has done this.
I mean, like no one that's famous. Like I'm not like. So it's all fair game.
It just
right?
occurred to me that like it's kind of something more about like the people's desire to like kind of stand out on social media or whatever. Like you want to find the cool thing to recommend to somebody. Like I'm not going to watch the stupid thing like somebody else recommended. I'm going to like avoid that longer because you told me about it. Like I want to come around to something on my own.
Yeah.
Like everybody has their own like lane of entertainment, almost like their own algorithm, their own content stream they consume. Like everybody's kind of in their own world.
Yeah.
So if somebody recommends something outside of it, you're like, screw you, dude. I don't know if I find something else for you.
I can't think of like a premise that I'm like really ready to, or at least, I mean, I probably have something that I could like, I don't know. I don't have anything that's like new. I'm like really kind of proud of the whole, me and my brother are different stereotype jokes.
Yeah. Tell me this. Go through.
Yeah.
These.
So me and my, Ethan, if you watch this, I don't know if you will watch this, but my stepbrother and I, like we're 3 months apart and, we're just two separate people, like two totally different people. Mm-hmm. Like I'm in law school and I'm like upwardly mobile, and then he has hair, he has long hair, and thinks he's a Viking.
Okay.
and owns ferrets. So we're just two totally different people, and like I've been working that a little bit around town. Mm-hmm. It was just funny. I love my little brother. We're just, like I said, two totally different people. Mm-hmm. And we went and visited him a couple weeks ago in Pennsylvania.
What's he doing?
He works at, I want to say, an escalator company.
Okay.
And his wife is, funnily enough, like a judge's assistant. Uh-huh. Like not a clerk, but an assistant that does a bunch of gets his appointments and stuff in order and talks with lawyers and things like that. Okay. And orders that around.
So
they live in like York, Pennsylvania.
Okay, gotcha. So she's kind of indirectly in the law. Yeah,
she works in a court. She works in a courthouse and like works in a courtroom on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. When I was up there, actually, I think she introduced me to like one of the judges.
Nice.
And like one of
thinking it'd hook you up, like he's gonna be a lawyer.
Yeah. York was a like pretty nice place. Like I enjoyed York. I know a lot of my brother and my sister-in-law like kind of like aren't as big on the city, but I would love to like the city seemed like kind of like charming when I was. Pennsylvania's interesting.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
It's just,
Pennsylvania Dutch country somewhere.
It was the Pennsylvania Dutch. Like the Amish people were like 45 minutes away from us, an hour away from where we were. We went and visited that area one day. I
only know about that place because of a Seinfeld episode where Jerry has to go there.
Oh, really?
On a trip with this girl he doesn't want to go with.
I've seen. I mean, they.
And I'm Dutch too, so I'm like 100%.
Oh, from.
Dutch.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The 2Ks.
Yeah. 2Ks. Bakker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. Well, dude, we can. Shit, we're almost 2.5 hours in.
Yeah. I mean. Yeah.
You got something else you want to say?
I don't have. I mean, I think. I mean, you're asking a comedian and a person who works in politics if they have anything else to say, and I feel like that's just dangerous. And a lawyer, a future lawyer, like I just could speak for hours just about myself and about like my opinions. So, which probably means I need a podcast.
Yeah. No, it's cool, man. I was, I thought it was funny because we were gonna schedule this on Tuesday, but I think we only had like an hour that we could do it in, and you were like, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, because I gotta come.
Day, so we can fill.
I gotta come all the way from Spartanburg, so it's.
Dude, thanks for coming, man.
No, it's no problem. I'm from like the north part of Spartanburg County, right beside the North Carolina line. So I'm like equal distance from Greenville and Spartanburg and Asheville. So I have to kind of get like drive an hour to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So I mean, I come to Greenville all the time. I come to Greenville, 2 or 3 nights a week because of comedy.
Yeah, dude.
But it keeps me, like you said, it keeps me going.
Well, yeah, it's cool, man. And I appreciate you coming. I still remember, literally, I was thinking about this the other day because you were back and we were outside Coffee Underground. I remember the first day of the podcast, like the first episode, you were one of the people that came up and you said, "Cool podcast, man."
Oh yeah,
and I did
listen to. Who was it? Was it
I think Matt
Kelby?
Addy was the first one.
Matt
Kelby
Addy,
was the second one.
That's right.
But you were like supportive, and I remember like when I started this thing, like I had so much anxiety about doing it and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember you were like supportive. I was like,
again, it's like stepping outside. It's like stepping outside and like of the castle and like being like putting yourself out there.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that. At least I feel like God, my employer's got to be like, fuck, like, like they've been great for like, if nothing else, turning a blind eye. Also,
so they know about it.
Oh, I'm sure they do. A lot of them are, connected with me on social media. So.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I think maybe like I don't know. That's some of the like if you do anything creative publicly, like you gotta at some point just let go of that fear of like what your family, friends, coworkers are gonna think, and just be honest.
I had that problem like for a long time. Like I only started like I've been doing it since like 2015. I like really didn't promote like many shows until like 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, like it takes like I don't know because it's weird. So
you weren't. It wasn't until like 2 years into comedy where you felt comfortable promoting more stuff.
Easily, easily that long. A few friends had been around and like come by and like seen me.
It's hard because when you start, anybody finds out about it. Like, I want to come see you like early, and you're like, no, just wait, wait, please, let me figure it out. Yeah.
Funny you were talking about your job finding out. I don't know if I've told you this story, but I actually I kind of hid the fact that I was doing comedy from not hid. I didn't like intentionally hide. I just didn't mention.
I know what you mean.
That I did comedy to the office that I'm working in. And we were in court one day, and one of the defense attorneys came up and said, "Is your name Tucker Lawson?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I've seen you do comedy before." And I was just like, "Oh man." And I was like, so the bench is like, or not the bench, but the table is in front of me, and like I'm behind like the little divider. And I was like, "Yeah, I really hope they're like enough into what they're talking about in front of me that they didn't hear that." Yeah. But apparently they heard about it and they asked me about it after. I was like, "Yeah, I do like stand up." And
what was the reaction?
So it was actually a really positive reaction. Yeah. Everyone that I've talked to has been like really positive about it. In fact, the guy who interviewed me for the position, he said, the one professional mishap that you've done so far is not telling me you did comedy. Because we want people, like I was talking about earlier, we want people that are performers. We want people that can add like pizzazz to it. And I didn't get to this earlier, but like with comedy, you have to know like your material kind of forwards and backwards and like upside down, and like being able to like flip it in all kinds of ways and being able to
make it come across natural each time.
Yeah, and like transition from like, sometimes I transition from like a joke into one joke that I've never done before, right? Yeah. Like I need to be able to transition from any one joke to any other joke. Yeah. And being able to do that with legal arguments and things like that, it lends itself to that. Sure, for sure. So he was like, "Yeah, when we need people like that's a really good thing for a lawyer to have, is that you're not afraid to get up in front of in front of people, it's strangers. Yeah. At least like with a jury, like you're guaranteed at least like 12 people.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's
Like
they can't
there
leave.
has to be a jury.
So I was like, wow. And then the boss, like the person over the whole office, over the whole like area, he like came by and he's like, well, I heard you might be some of our like comic relief this summer, and I was just like, that's I guess
the worst when you build in the expectation. Oh, this guy's funny. Oh shit,
I guess so.
Get a load of this. Yeah, it's like you got to be on all the time. It's like
but he but it's after they told me that, I was just like, actually now it's like pretty cool. I told my boss, like, yeah, could I like leave 2 hours early it was like when I was going to Laughing Skull. I was like, I have a show in Atlanta. I was wondering if I could leave like 2 hours early so I could make it there in time. Because if you don't get there like by like 7:30 or something, so I said like, he was like, yeah, sure, whatever, man. He's like, peace out. It's like, we're paying you $10 an hour. Like, like we're not trying to like take up your whole summer.
Right, for sure.
I mean, thanks for having me back on. I mean, like I said, I am literally a future lawyer, comedian, and like political worker. Like, I will talk for ages about anything.
Yeah, for sure, dude. No, it's great. I love your perspective on things. I like that we don't have the same political leanings exactly, but we can still talk about all that shit. It's cool.
I say my go-to is that like, I grew up in South Carolina. I went to a vaguely religious college for undergrad, and then I moved to Mississippi to go to law school. If I didn't know how to like be friends with people that didn't think think differently politically than me,
right,
I wouldn't have any friends. So like a lot of my friends, like I think the majority of my friends in Mississippi are Republicans, and like are like one's a libertarian, and one's like a Trump guy, So it's like, and despite all that, like we all come from vaguely similar backgrounds, and like I really judge someone on like the content of their character, like to maybe use. I think MLK said that, but I really
by the color of their skin, but by the content of their
I try to judge people like by the content of like who they are as a person and what they are to me, and like I mean, if I see someone's a good person, I'm gonna I'm not gonna be an ass to them,
for sure.
but I'm gonna be here for the whole summer, and I'm ready to like do a lot of comedy with you, man.
Fuck yeah, dude!
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and you said this last time. You're gonna continue doing comedy like after you're a lawyer too, aren't you?
Yeah, I think that. I mean, back when I wanted it to become something, like back when I was like, I want to be a famous comedian, like I want to move to LA in 2 years, like all this other stuff, like it just wasn't working. And as soon as I said like, this is fun for me, and I'm gonna be like, this doesn't have to be anything. This can just be my fishing. Right. This can just be my disc golf. Like this can just be something that I like to go out on a Monday night and do, and that's totally fine. And if it doesn't become anything, it doesn't become anything. I'll just be a hell of a comedian in Greenville, South Carolina, that has been doing it for 15 years or whatnot. Just like people are fishers or golfers that like never make it to the PGA Tour, and that's perfectly fine.
But they can go out and shoot a 72.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it makes me feel good, so that's what I'm going to keep doing, and I'll be...
That's a healthy attitude to have, man.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure. I think too many people get caught up in climbing a ladder at times.
And I think that's
it's helpful to have goals, I guess, but also keep them in perspective.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want there's being goal oriented, and there's you can have unrealistic goals, and you can have goals that are saying, for this moment, this is my goal. And so my goal for like me as a comedian now is just like get booked on shows. And like if it works, like that doesn't, I mean, if I make $20 here, $20 there, $30, $40 there, like it doesn't, it's not like, what do you call it? It's not a particularly, important or whatnot if I become famous. And it's like and eventually I'm going to be a lawyer. So like, hopefully I'm a successful lawyer, and I can like make money and maybe like put more like money into my art, and like do like write a write a movie and like self-produce a movie.
Hell yeah.
And like get actors from the area and like
Yeah.
you can really you can like film on a iPhone now if you want. You can shoot like 4K on an iPhone.
Yeah, I have interest in doing more things creatively too.
Yeah,
like the longer, just like you see more people doing that. Like Joe List and Louis C.K. collaborated on a movie that's coming out in July. I don't know if you saw that.
You said who? Joe List.
Joe List and Louis C.K.
Okay.
Joe List is the lead actor in the film, and Louis C.K. directed it. And all the comics that are in the movie are like New York comics.
Is it about comedy?
It's about so Joe List plays a recovering alcoholic who has to go to visit his family in their summer vacation spot for July 4, and all of his family's like heavy drinkers. So he's confronting like the dysfunction. His therapist tells him he's got to like get this off his chest and confront his family, and there's a bunch of drunks, and it's like this really messy situation that he has to kind of sort through.
Did Louis write it, or
I think Louis and Joe List both wrote it. And Joe List is actually a recovering alcoholic in real life.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure there's humor in it, but it's definitely there's some dramatic elements to the film. And they just produced it because Louis loves movie.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to be a movie director before he wanted to be a comedian. So that's
he was. Has he directed anything else? His directorial debut?
No, he directed.
I guess he did like Louis,
Louis the show. He directed, edited, starred in that. He did this show called Horace and Pete. That's only available on his website. That's like a 3-camera. It's shot like a 3-camera sitcom without a studio audience, and it takes place in a bar, and it's dramatic. It's like It's like really dark.
Interesting.
There's some comedic stuff. Steve Buscemi's in it. Mark Norman does a small role in that.
He's a great actor. Have you seen like Vicky Cristina Barcelona? It's a Woody Allen movie for
Steve Buscemi is?
No.
Louis
is.
Oh yeah,
he's in that, and he's great in that.
But yeah, like you can be creatively prolific on your own terms. So like as when you get established as a lawyer, you can like do whatever you want, bro.
I feel like they're the fan, like they're it's like it's allegorical, or not allegorical, that might not be the word for it, but like it's hard to I'm talking to like the king of it right now. It's hard to be sober in comedy and like around like people that are just drinking like fit. Like sometimes like if we lived in a bigger city, there's no place here that is like, oh, it's a 2-drink minimum to go on stage or whatever, or like you have to like buy your way on stage essentially.
Yeah.
So like people are you would have to go and like pay like $14
and not drink anything,
and just not drink anything, like have some sodas or whatnot.
Yeah. I don't really mind being around people who drink. Well, mostly because I feel like in this comedy scene, people aren't drunks. Like the people that do drink aren't like. I've never seen.
Or like fall. They're not like getting up on stage, like going on tirades.
No, the only time I get annoyed is if I stay out late and I'm out at bars with friends and like it gets past midnight and people start to get real sloppy. Then it's a little annoying, but even then, I'm not like judging the people around me, and I'm not like, I don't even find the desire to like be like, oh shit, I got to get on their level. I don't even desire to. I'm just like, okay, probably time to like get some Sullies and come back here and watch.
Because I know like for some people, it's like their like addiction and like alcoholism is like hard to manage when the people around them are doing like are in that. So
for whatever reason, it hasn't bothered me that much.
That's good.
I think partly because of that book I read, Easy Way to Stop Drinking, Alan Carr. If anybody wants, that's how I stopped.
Yeah, not saying that, David. I don't know if you like call yourself an alcoholic or if you just stopped drinking.
I mean, I think
I'm not. I don't want to call you an alcoholic because I didn't even know you when you were drinking.
Hi, my name's David. I'm an alcoholic. I don't know. I know that I was unhappy and drinking a lot on the weekends. That's kind of where I was at. But just because like that was, it was introduced to me later in life because I was very sheltered. So I like had this pendulum thing of like it's the best thing ever to like, oh fuck, this is getting a little bit too out of hand. And then just, finding like getting a little bit older. Like I found like when I hit 30, I was like, shit, I kind of can't be like, I don't want to be a partier in like pushing 40.
Yeah.
So, it's just kind of gotta, if I'm going to grow out of this, I want to find like something meaningful to also be engaged in, which comedy is that for me. So yeah, I don't know. I've been really lucky. I hope I don't like all of a sudden get a craving like that. I'm like, oh, I gotta have, I don't really think I will, but
It's been like 2 years.
Yeah.
Didn't you just have your 2 year
I just did. Yeah.
It's today or when was it?
It was like a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
I posted a picture. I kind of felt douchey posting a picture. 2 years ago.
Oh, was it with the cookout cup? That's
Yeah.
I mean, dude, that's for a lot of people. I felt
douchey because it's social media and like it gets so many likes. I actually talked about this on stage on Wednesday. I was like, I said I'm 2 years sober and people cheered. I was like, yeah, that's why I did it. Give me the attention. That's all I want. Like hoarding out for likes. Because I did feel kind of good. But you can't shit on a recovering alcoholic. That's what I was like. You can't.
Yeah.
Like there's no. So it's just shameless. Like
it's like you just like fictitiously stop things. Like you just like stop things that you aren't even doing. It's like, yeah, I stopped doing heroin like 6 months ago. It's been like really good recovery. Like,
yeah.
Like
I also had never started, but I did.
It's like I've been celibate for the past 7 months. Like it's going
not by choice.
Yeah, I stopped drinking for the LSAT.
Okay.
When I was studying for the LSAT, and so some people thought that was like going overboard, but like I stopped drinking completely and I didn't have a drink between like the second week of July and election night of 2020.
Wow.
Which is
that's a pretty big span if you're used to drinking.
Yeah. So that was interesting, but what kind of spurred also like doing that, I kind of said like kind of don't want to drink alcohol. I was kind of thinking about this as well because like this is gonna I'm being raw here. Like we had a family cookout at my house, and my family's gotten more lax about like drinking now. Like my parents might have a few beers here or there or something like that. And so it was July 4th. So I went and bought a fifth of Tito's, American vodka. So, and I bought like, what was it? I bought ginger beer and like everything to make Moscow Mule.
Okay.
And this was before Russia invaded Ukraine. I guess after Russia, it depends on it depends on how you're looking at it. But I am drinking, and I'm like, I'm glad I don't feel like I was drinking it like that much, but I think like the combination of like the hot water, the pool being hotter than it was July, and then like the heat itself, like I blacked out.
Oh shit!
I blacked out
at a family event.
Yeah,
lost in the sauce.
Dude. I was completely lost in the sauce, and like apparently like threw up and like passed out for like 3 hours, and just super embarrassing. And I was just like, damn. So I didn't have a drink between like July 4th and probably the day the election, election day.
Yeah.
But
I've been there, bro. I've been there.
Yeah, but I had like eight Coronas at the hotel bar that night. I was going off, blowing off some steam. But yeah. But like I said, I don't feel like I have a bad relationship.
No, I don't think you do either.
But that's thanks for validating me and
enabling your casual drinking behavior. Yeah. No, I mean I think anybody should quit if they want to. Or if you think you got an issue, or if you just have the suspicion in the back of your mind of like, I like to cut back.
I really only drink at comedy or like if I'm like out by the pool or something.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I feel like
bro.
It's like 2 hours and 38 minutes.
Yeah, hell yeah. This is a banger, dude. I hope people, if they did get to the end, I don't know. Yeah. I picture how people listen to this. I think that we do have a pretty consistent group of regular listeners now that'll like, I don't know.
Listen to it in chunks, guys.
You could, or like if you have like an office job or like you have a job where you can kind of like multitask, just have it on in the background. I don't know. Hopefully this is interesting.
Give David those minutes.
Yeah, dude. Engagement.
Engage that.
I'm trying to get, I don't know. I got to like try and get sponsors or something.
Yeah.
Try and get some.
You should do like local sponsors, like bars and stuff. I bet
would be
down with that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about starting to look at it.
Yeah, if you want, you can follow me on.
Shout it out.
If you want, you can follow me on Twitter at Tucker Lawson, TuckerLawson.
I like that we follow each other on Twitter now. I see some of your stuff.
Then SC at the end of that, just all straight, and then no punctuation or anything. And then you can follow me on Instagram if you want at Tuck Ever Laughin'. So yeah, like super niche like reference, guys. But the Laughin' is has no G on the end, so it's just like laughing without the G. So Tuck Ever Laughin', and I post where I'm going to be going up a couple days before usually, and on Twitter I usually have really bad food takes on like on things or just bad takes in general. So feel free to follow me. It will be much appreciated.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, dude, thanks for coming, bro.
No problem, man.
Awesome. Check Tucker out. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
All right. See you next time, guys.